Good morning and welcome to Sewing Street on this lovely Monday morning. If you've got snow, please send me some pictures because I haven't got any and I love snow, so very excited for you. We have got lots coming up for you, so it's such a cold day. It's the perfect day to stay indoors, light the fire, put the heating on and watch a bit of Sewing Street. And we've got loads and loads of things to inspire you and to educate you and new things that you haven't seen before and some lovely projects. We've got Sallieann Harrison with us today for 2 hours, who's going to teach us some great applique and cutting and rulers. It's a really, really good show. But to start off with, I'm going to give you a special offer, which I'm quite excited about because I love eau de coat. So the offer we have today is £3 off. This is $11.99 eau de coat. Now I'm just going to explain to you what it is. It's like magic actually. If you've got a fabric and you want it to be water resistant, waterproof, but you haven't got that fabric, you can make any cotton fabric water resistant with this. I have no idea how it actually works, but it does. So it's like it's thicker. I think it's slightly thicker than a PVA glue. So in here, it looks sort of white and gloopy. But what you do is you get your fabric and you paint it on, wait for it to dry, and then immediately it's water resistant. The more coats you put on, the higher the waterproof level is. So if you put one on, it's sort of water resistant, so you could put it onto like a wash bag and then it would be fine for splashes in the bathroom. But if you put 2 coats on a bit more, if you get to 3 coats, it's like an oilcloth. So you can spread it on your fabric and then cut it out and sew with it. It's absolutely fine, goes to the machine, no problem, obviously once it's dry. Or if you've already made something and you want to waterproof it, maybe the bottom of a bag that you're always putting on the floor, you can actually spread it on after you've made something. It's entirely up to you, but it's really magic stuff. No idea how it works. Don't know what's in it. But it's really nice. I've tried it before and I've done one and I'd made just like a little cosmetic bag and I put 1 coat on and then I carried on and kept doing it, and it does have that feel of oilcloth, but you know sometimes oilcloths are very stiff and they're not always 100% cotton. You can just make your own. So and also you are limited by the numbers of different prints and colours and patterns that you can buy, whereas this you can make your own. So I mean, obviously, it's ideal for things that you're going to have in the bathroom, like wash bags, cosmetic bags, laundry bags. But it's perfect. Maybe if you want to line something and you want to put a waterproof lining in, you could spread that on your fabric before you do the lining. If you've got a bag that you're always putting on the floor, just do the base. Maybe you're making an outdoor cushion and you don't want to bring it inside every time there's a quick shower. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be fully waterproof because it won't get through the zip and everything, but for outdoor things we've got in the next coming up very soon, we've got a bench cushion that Sallieann's going to demonstrate for us. Obviously ideal for putting on benches outdoors, so you could eau de coat that. It doesn't have any effect on the sort of the colour or the colour resistance or the fabric. It does feel slightly different when you put just 1 coat on. It has a rougher feel, but as you put more coats on, it becomes smoother. Anyway, so it's normally, yes, it's normally £3 for, I can't work it out. It's normally $14.99. Today it's $11.99. So you're saving £3. So basically you're saving your P&P is $3.95. It's this 1 P&P all day. So whatever you buy now, even if you keep adding to your basket all day, it's still $3.95. So you've almost saved your postage and packing. But remember, when you have used this, do let it dry. All the instructions on the back, but you can then wash it. So it's not like, which would be quite useful, wouldn't it, really, because it wouldn't be very waterproof. Because there are other products around that are similar that we have trialled out and looked at, but those you can't wash. You just have to sort of use what's it called? Sponge clean only. Whereas this, you can put it in the washing machine. It's fully waterproof. And it actually, it doesn't look like a massive tub, does it? But it does go a really long way. You just need a paintbrush, that's all. Just a simple, yeah. And then I've found that when you use it, if you get like a credit card, not obviously one that you'll be going shopping with, something that you don't use so much, you can then spread that and you can use that. So paint it on with the brush, and then you can use a credit card to just sort of spread it all in. And it's fine, it comes off your hands quite easily. It's not using like some of these thick varnishes or something. And it doesn't really, it just smells like glue. It smells like that kind of, yes, I don't know what it tastes like, and I shan't be finding out. But it is solvent free. No, it doesn't smell like varnish or paint. It's not like that smell. It is like a PVA glue. So a quarter of the stock has already gone, which I'm not really surprised about because it is a fantastic product. And at the £3 saving, it's really worth it. It opens up the world of possibilities of what you're making. So if, you know, we talk about, oh, use a waterproof lining for this, or maybe put a canvas bottom on the base of your bag because you don't want it to get wet. But with the Odeco, suddenly everything that you've got, you can make water resistant or waterproof. Or maybe, you know, you want to make a tablecloth, but you want to be able to wipe it down afterwards. But it's not always easy to find the right colours, prints, widths of fabric. But you can just buy a couple of metres of cotton fabric and you've got a whole tablecloth, which, you know, it's not just for outdoors, is it? I mean, I'm on my kitchen table at home, I have a waterproof tablecloth, otherwise I wouldn't be able to clean it. So just so you can have a look and see what sort of price you can get it before you search around. We've had a search around. So the one that we found here is $14.99 reduced from $15.99. Obviously ours is $11.99. And that is, on this website here, is in their best selling products. Because it is a fabulous thing. You know, when you use something like this for the first time, you think, oh, is that really going to work? And I was given a pot of it, a while ago, and I've tried various things, and I love it. It's one of those sort of basics that I have in my sewing room, and is just really useful for all those lovely little things. Got another price comparison here for you. I know the packaging is slightly different, but it's exact. They've just changed the packaging recently. That one is $16.99. So look, ours is £5 cheaper. I mean, it's worth it to give it a go. But honestly, I have used it, and I have sewn with the fabric I've coated, and I've put it onto items that I've already made or bought, and it does work. It does work. We've got a message from Susan who says, hi Rebecca, I bought children's glue spreaders for my Odeco. Oh yeah, I guess so. Better than using your credit card, isn't it? I mean, I've used a brush with it, but once you get further on the coats, it is useful to have something like a glue spreader to put it on. But yeah, glue spreaders, brushes, doesn't have to be anything fancy. Probably not your fingers, but actually it comes off really easily off your fingers, which is surprising when you think you can put it through the washing machine. It doesn't come off, but it just lets that sort of rub off. It does come off quite easily. It doesn't have that horrible sort of varnish solvent smell. It really is PVA. Anyway, that is a fantastic bargain today to get you started on this frosty Monday morning. But coming up today on Sewing Street, we have got lots of lovely things for you. So just about to come up, we've got the spring bench pillows with Sallieann. This brand new book to us, all about making a different bench pillow, which is ideal for either if you've got a bench indoors or you've got an outdoor one. You can actually make one for every month of the year. And she's going to demonstrate one for us. It's a really nice book. I think you'll enjoy that because it's nice to have different things to make and different ideas. 9 o'clock, we've got books and fabric. We've got some really lovely books to show you, and with some really good fabric selections. There's a really nice one called Dover that I think you'll love. 10 o'clock, Sallieann's back with us, going to show us how to do a log cabin cushion. Now, log cabins is that, you know, perennial ultimate favourite, isn't it? Everyone loves the log cabin. And there's lots of different ways of doing it, depending on the variation. It's all to do with the arrangement. But Sallieann is such a patchwork and quilting expert, she'll be able to talk you through it. So if you've got any questions about log cabin, maybe you've just started in patchwork, you know, this is one of the things people often start with. Any questions at all, please do message in because Sallieann will be able to answer you. 11 o'clock, we've got creative grid rulers and quilting tools. I mean, if you've not used creative grid rulers before, they will change your cutting life. Wonderful things. And we have got a whole array for you. And 12 o'clock, we have Yarn Lane, which, as always, I am extremely excited about because we've got the lovely Christine Perry, aka Winnick Mum, back today. And it is the launch of her brand new sock yarn and pattern book, brand new today. So let's have a little look at the Sewing Street website so we can talk you through how to shop if you've not shopped with us before. So go on to sewingstreet.com. This is just one way that you can watch and buy, is you go on to watch live. There it is. And you see the box there that says message the studio. So if you've got any questions or comments, or you want to show me your snow pictures or things that you've made recently. Oh, I didn't realise. If you've got pictures, you have to email them. Messages only on there, but you can message us at sewingstreet.com. But if you scroll down below the watch live, there are the products. There are things that are on pre-order, and then everything that's coming up in the show. So it's just an easier way to shop. If you see something on there and you think, yes, I want to buy that, then go onto the website and scroll down and it's there. When we start playing through the products, there will be 2 columns that you'll be able to see, and you just click on the top one, the pre-order or what's there. But anyway, all the products are there. It's much easier to find. You can also, if you don't want to buy on the website, you can buy on the phone. The phone number is at the bottom of the screen now, 0800 001 4433. It is a UK call centre. In fact, it's just around the corner from us. They are fantastic, really helpful. And if you've got any questions, maybe there's something on the show and you think, oh, I'm not sure, do I want that? What colour is that? How do I get that? They're really, really helpful. So you can either shop online or you can just pick up the phone and give them a call. And they are really helpful. So we always mention Yarn Lane. Now you may not have seen Yarn Lane before. We are on at the end of Sewing Street on Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday. So if you're watching on the TV, then at 12 o'clock, we just turn on to Yarn Lane. You don't have to move at all other than to make a cup of tea in the break, but it's the same TV channel, so you just stay where you are. However, if you're watching online, you will have to move onto we've got our very own website, onto www.yarnlane.com. Or if you're watching on Facebook, then you need to go onto the Yarn Lane Facebook page. But if you're on the TV, everything stays the same. So Yarn Lane is dedicated to all things yarn, mainly knitting and crochet, obviously, but there are other yarn things. So we do tatting, we've done punch needle, we've done loom weaving, we've done needle felting, mainly knitting and crochet. So what I found, because we launched on November the 2nd, is that there's a lot of you sewers out there say, oh, I haven't crocheted for years, or I do a bit of knitting, but I haven't tried that. And we have inspired so many of you to go and get your crochet hooks, give it another go. We are very technique heavy. We do a lot of how do you do this. My main aim for this is to teach you, because I love knitting and crochet and I want you to love it too, or remember that you loved it. We bring you new yarns, we bring you new tools, new equipment, new techniques. We brought you tatting recently that many of you haven't done, or have only remembered your mum or your grandma doing it. And so many of you have come on board and had a go, because we're so lucky here in the studio. We have really good overhead cameras so that we get in very close and we show you the techniques and all the messages that we get on the Facebook page, which I read all the time, all the fans pages, how much you've learned and how much you've enjoyed it. But I also want to bring you products that are new, things that are just coming out. And today we're really lucky that Christine, who is honestly the queen of socks, Winnick Mum is her business name, and she has developed a whole brand new range of yarn to knit socks using her patterns. I'll just show you very quickly and then we will have to get onto Sewing Street. So this is brand new today. Nobody has seen this before today because it's brand new. So this is her new range of sock yarn. Spring, summer, autumn and winter. One ball for each season. One ball knits a whole pair of socks, and she has created and developed these yarns. And not only that, she has designed a brand new pattern book where, funnily enough, there are 4 patterns. So there's a spring pattern and a summer pattern and an autumn pattern and a winter pattern. Anyway, she's going to come on air today. She is going to show you the complete, from the beginning, how to knit a pair of socks. But I'm going to put that away because that's just a little teaser for later. So if you've never watched Yarn Lane before, please do give us a go. Join us, because we've had Christine with us before and she is a fantastic teacher. That's what she does. She teaches how to knit socks. She's dedicated her life to writing books and creating how to knit socks. So the website for Yarn Lane looks and works in exactly the same way as Sewing Street. So again, you know, you go onto the website, you click on watch live, you scroll down below. Look, there's an example of the show that was on Saturday where we had the lovely Anna Nikiforovich with us, who was teaching us how to crochet shawls and crochet socks as well. But as you can see, you know, it's very, very teaching and technique heavy, but as well as we try to bring you designers, small designers that we can feature, we can show that, you know, maybe you might have seen at a knitting and stitching show or on a yarn launch or something, but we can bring them on air and show you new products. We've also got loads and loads of tools as well. So all the crochet hooks and knitting needles and stitch markers, blocking boards and all the things that you need are all on the website. So as a treat today, Hannah and I had a discussion about this. Everything that's going to be on air at 12 o'clock, because I know it's going to be really popular because she sold out last time, is already on pre-order on Yarn Lane. So we're taking a bit of a gamble and hoping it doesn't all sell out before the show, because it is fantastic and we are launching it today. Anyway, let's get on with Sewing Street. So this book, this is what we're focusing on the show today. This book, Bench Pillows, a quarter of the stock has already gone. So we have bundles and we have the book as well. So let's have a look at the book first. Brand new. So we sell a lot of Annie's quilting books. They're always popular and they nearly always sell out. She somehow captures, she's got a very lovely sort of friendly, quirky style, but she captures what people want to make and she explains them in a really good way. I mean, you know, the proof is in the number of books that we sell. So whenever we bring them out, they tend to sell out. So this is brand new. Bench pillows for all seasons. So they don't have to be for a bench. I think she's called them a bench pillow. So they are made to fit a 38 by 16 inch pillow form, which is wonderful size for a bench, a hearth or a bed. So it's like an extra big pillow. Basically, it's almost like two pillows next to each other. And then in the book, so there's all the general stuff, all the general how to do it, how to do a plique, which all the instructions are in here, but Sallieann's going to be showing us in a minute. And then we go through all the seasons. So there's a January one, which obviously has snowmen on it. So I love that. But what's great about this book is that you can actually, if you think, well, yeah, no, I really like that, I want to make that, but I'd actually quite like the block. The blocks in it you can use as blocks on their own, so you could actually make a whole quilt using the blocks. It's very, very multi-purpose. I mean, I love that snowman. So all you need is your cushion that will fit it, and then you can just keep changing it all the time or use the blocks inside. So there's January. Obviously, February is Valentine's, but it's really nice. You know, you've got that little bird and the bird houses. But again, as you can see from here, there are the different blocks. So you could actually use the blocks for other things as well. And it's only $8.99. There's a lot in here for $8.99. March, I love that. March is St. Patrick's Day, so it's shamrocks. April is blowing in, so we've got an umbrella, wellies, puddle. But in the back, let me just show you before we carry on through. In the back are all the templates. I won't tear them out, but they're perforated. So they're all out there. They're full-size templates. No enlargement is necessary. So all the templates are in there for all of these things. So if you don't want to make a bench pillow, but you need a template for an umbrella and some wellies, that's all in here. But it's not just a plique. There's also, like these shamrocks, that's all pieced. Oh, there's loads of templates. There's templates in the back and the middle. So that's the April one. May is for mothers. And this is the one that we're doing today. May is a beautiful spring month and is so fitting. Oh, I suppose because it's an American that's their Mother's Day. So we're doing it ready for our Mother's Day. So although their Mother's Day is in May, ours is in March. So you can make this ready. And isn't it lovely? Because it's a nest with little birds in and a bird. But again, you've got, you know, lovely applique templates. So Sallieann's going to show us that one today. Look at the picture. Isn't that beautiful? So you could use that inside, or, you know, you can use it as a bench pillow. How lovely to have that when the sun one day finally comes out. You'll be all ready for it. June is bees. Got flowers and bees and worms. Love the worms. July, stars and stripes, obviously. But isn't that a lovely block? Is that the Sawtooth Star, Sally? The one that's there in July. So they've shown you actually how to make that block itself.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, I got that right. That is the Sawtooth Star block. So you can use this to make stars and stripes, or you've got all the instructions to make that little block as well. That's lovely, isn't it? I really like that one. August, boats and fish in the sea. That's lovely. Make a lovely wall hanging that as well. So there's so much inspiration in here. Yes, it's about bench pillows, and you can have a new bench pillow for every single month, or you can use the applique or the block pack. With love the September one. Look at, let me there's a better, bigger picture there. Let me show you that one. Look, he's a really friendly scarecrow with a pumpkin head and sunflowers. I love the fabric they've used in the background of that. It's like a newspaper print. But again, you've got all the applique templates to make the sunflowers like him. October, Halloween, obviously. So we've got witches' hats. Look at that row of pumpkins. So that's, those are piece, they're not applique, but you could use those and make a whole draft excluder, couldn't you? You know how when you put a pumpkin in your window, it means that you've got sweets and people can knock on your door. You could have a pumpkin draft excluder, bring it out every year. That's really nice, isn't it? I love the idea of having a new cushion for each month. But, you know, if you didn't want to make a bench pillow, all of these you could make into a normal cushion because they all have sort of long motifs that you could just take part of. So if you wanted a different cushion for every month, you could. And November is turkey trot, but you've got a turkey, leaves, acorns. It's very autumnal. But then you've got the maple leaf block as well. So you've got patchwork and applique and quilting, everything all joined in together. And then December, what do you think December is? I'm guessing it's going to be Christmas. No, it's Christmas. Oh, look at that. It's like baubles. You've got Father, is he Father Christmas? He's got whiskers. So we've got a snowman. Hannah says he's a penguin. That is not a penguin. He looks, I think he's Father Christmas. I wonder whether it actually says antlers nose. So you've got a reindeer, and I think that's Father Christmas, and a snowman. But you know, it's just lovely, isn't it? And you've got the lettering as well. So as I say, you could use these for just cushions or for the whole pillow as well. So that's the whole book. Fantastic. So half the stock has gone of the book on its own. However, we do have it in a bundle as well. And it's brand new today, so don't forget. So, is this the... No, that's the spring one. So this one is the May bundle, and this is the one that Sallieann's going to be showing you today. So just to remind you what it looks like, it's this lovely one. And although they've done it as May's for Mothers, we're bringing it to you in February, so that if you want to make it for Mother's Day, you'll be all ready for March. So in the bundle, you get 1/2 metre of this lovely print fabric. Really pretty flowers. So this is used for 1/2 metre, obviously. This is, oh, it's a lovely Stoff fabric. This is Hannah Basics. So you get 1/2 metre of that, and that is used for the background. So the background of this cushion where you've got all the spots, that's used that. So that works really well because it's perfect. Right, the fat quarters that you can see on the web, the picture's not right. So just look at what I've got here, because look at mine, because mine are right, the ones on the web are wrong. So you get 1/2 metre of that lovely print for the background. You get 1/2 metre of this sort of mottled cream. No, I've got this wrong. The mottled cream is for the background. I'm just looking at Sallieann's. And the print is for the border around the edge. So the floral print is for the border, just ignore me. Is for the border around the edge, and the lovely mottled vanilla ice cream colour is for the background. And then you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fat quarters. Ignore the picture on the website. You get 7 fat quarters to make all the appliques. So you've got brown for the stems. You've got 2 different greens for the leaves. You've got more than enough here. You could probably do 2 lots of applique with this. You've got red for the big bird and the baby birds. You've got pink for the small flowers. You've got yellow for the other small flowers, and you've got a really nice gold, the yellows for the beaks as well, and a goldy colour for the nest. So you have got more than enough there. So that is fantastic value. At £24.99, you get the book, 2.5 metres of fabric, and 7 fat quarters. That's really good value, isn't it? So you can make all of that, and do you know what? There is loads more fabric there. You could make more. You'll need all of this for the cushion, but as for the applique, you have got more than enough here. So you could make another one, you could make a matching cushion, or just add it to your stash. But you know, when you think you've got a fat quart of yellow and you only need it for the bird's beak and the little flowers, you have got more than enough there. You could probably make some others. And those colours are exactly what you need, not the ones that are on the website. The other bundle we have is this one here. This is spring. So you can use this for any of them really. So you've got 1/2 metre of the cream fabric, which is ideal for the background of the cushion. And then you can make quite a lot of the different designs in here. So this is a pre-printed panel. Let me just lay it out flat so you can see it. God, it's big, isn't it? And you have got so many, because lots and lots of these designs use small pieces because of their applique. So you've got a lovely mixture of corals and teals and pinks here. And these squares, they're all 5, there's 40 5-inch squares, like a charm pack. You know, so some of the motifs, you might need to join pieces, but there are a lot of things. So say we looked at I'm thinking it would work really well with the August one, which is the seaside one. Well, it would work very well for June because you've got the greens and you've got all the different colours. You could do any of the blocks with it. But for this one, you've got some lovely colours that you could use for the sea and the sky and join them together and different things. So this is a lovely, because this book focuses on small pieces for applique and small blocks that are in the different designs, then, I mean, this is basically a charm pack, pre-printed charm pack, that you can use all of these for lots and lots of different things. Or if you just want, you think, well, I like that charm pack, that's really good, then you get the book as well. So, right, so let's go over to, I'll just fold that up, over to Sallieann, who's going to show us how to make the May pillow. Good morning, Sallieann.
Oh,
so
a couple of things that as you were talking about it, it made me think that you could pipe it. You said you have loads of fabric left over.
Yes.
You could pipe it. It looked great piped.
It would, in
around the outside
piping.
edge, yeah, or around the interior picture.
Oh, that would look nice.
Yeah.
Because I like it when you join together all the different bits and pipe. It looks nice. So how did you find the book?
Really good, yeah.
Oh, good.
Really good. Love the book. And you know I'm not like a quilter at heart. So I must admit, I also thought you could join these and make it a really lovely quilt that features all the seasons, all the months. So
amazing, wouldn't
what
it?
you would do is you would just join January and February, because they're about 30 inches each.
Right.
Join January and February and then put a filler in between, a filler
Yeah,
line,
like a sachet.
and then, March, April, and go all the way down like that. And you could add some, I don't know, you could add in the months, you could actually put them on your embroidery machine, couldn't you?
That would look fantastic.
It would look really
what a
good.
Beautiful quilt. And it's something you could build up, couldn't you? So
Yeah.
you think, right, well, I'll just do that one, and then, you know, you could really build it through.
Or you could do it as almost like a block of the month through the year, couldn't you? You could do January, you could work your way
That's a
through.
really good idea. They should have done that. They should have joined them
Yeah,
all together, shouldn't they? That would look stunning. You could even use one colour palette or the different ones.
Yeah.
It would look stunning as a
would,
quilt,
wouldn't it?
wouldn't it? So the bundle that Sallieann is using at the moment, just to remind you, is this one, is the bundle that I've got that has the 7 fat quarters and the 2 1/2 metres. So you get 1/2 metre of the floral and 1/2 metre that, and then the fat quarter colours, because they're different to the photograph, just so you know, you get brown, 2 greens, red, pink, goldy yellow, and then a beige colour for the nest. So that's what you're getting in the bundle. So where do we start with this then?
So do you want to have a look at the picture in the book?
Yes.
Yeah? So this is a nice, easy, straightforward bit of fusible web applique in the main.
Right.
With a couple of extra techniques thrown in. And those extra techniques are the yo-yo flowers. I don't know if you can see.
Okay.
Anyone made yo-yos before? Have you made yo-yos?
I haven't, no.
They're addictive.
No, I haven't.
Yep, so little yo-yo flowers.
Oh, it shows you how to do them though.
Yep, and it shows you how to make them.
Oh, so it's a bit of a 3D.
Yeah, and then the leaves themselves, they're what they're calling padded applique.
Okay.
So what I was going to do this morning is I'm going to have a go at some fusible web and a flower and a leaf.
Right,
so you can see all the different techniques.
Yes, so let's start. So obviously we need Bonder web then.
Yes.
So Bonder web is available on the website.
So here's some...
If you haven't got any.
So I have partly prepared the little birds in the nest.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got that already in situ.
Is it easy to know where to place them? Does it explain
Yes, because
that?
it says in the book something like 7.5 inches
Oh,
up.
okay. Oh, so you haven't got to just guess then?
You haven't got to just
Oh, that's
guess.
handy.
And I don't know if you can see that. I've just put in a marking as well with a Frickson pen. It tells you 2 inches from your nest is where you put your bird.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
so that's really nice because sometimes it's not always you think, oh, well, I don't know, you try and follow the photograph because it's giving you the measurements.
And you're sort of like piecing it. Was it like the picture? Yeah.
Yes, oh, that's really useful.
So what you're going to do, there's a big template sheet, which is...
Yeah, I've
here.
noticed. Well, I thought there was one at the back, there's one in the middle as well.
Yeah, this is the template sheet. So full size templates, you just trace them off onto the paper side of your fusible web with a pencil. Okay.
Are they printed in reverse?
Good question. Yes, they are.
Right.
Yes, they're already printed in reverse.
Oh, handy.
Yeah. So they come
yeah,
out.
they are, because that
so
ease
they
back
come
to
out
front.
exactly.
Yes. So you can just trace them over. Oh, that's useful, yeah, because the ease backwards.
Yeah.
That's really useful, because often they're not, are they? And then you have to trace them
you have to
the way
sort
around.
of think about it and think, oh, which way around is that? And then, or you start doing it like I've done loads of times before, and you're thinking, it's not looking like the picture.
No, because I've traced it reverse.
Yeah.
So you don't have to trace it in reverse. It's already sawed. It's already
Yes.
done like that.
So you're going to trace it off onto the paper side of your fusible web, and then you're just going to, don't cut it out on the pencil line, sort of leave some paper around the outside edge.
Okay.
The idea being that you cut it out on the pencil line afterwards,
Right.
so that the glue goes right the way up to the outside edge. So,
I know, I often see people sometimes do it the other way around, but it does work better
yeah, so
if you cut it outside the shape and then cut once it's stuck on.
yeah. And when you cut it out, the bigger the pair of scissors you can manage, the better, because
why
you'll
is
get a
that
nice
then?
smooth curve then, because you're
Okay.
not going snip, snip, snip,
Right,
snip,
you're
snip.
just sort of cutting and
Yeah.
moving as you go.
So there's one wing. Ooh. So I'm sort of moving the paper around to sort of try and get the best curves I can. There we go. Right. Okay. So now we're going to try and put him in position, or her, on the branch. So I've got to leave room for the legs. So you're just going to peel off the backing, she says. Put him or her. Then you've got to think about how you're layering it up, because I think one of the wings needs to go in front and one behind.
Oh, the wings and the bird are separate then?
Yes.
Oh, that's quite
2
nice,
wings.
isn't it? To give it, gives it a bit of a 3D. Oh, yeah, it does
Yeah.
give the positioning. So place the mother bird 2 inches from the nest.
Yep.
Add the wings, one tucked under and the other on top.
Yep.
It is very specific. I like that though.
Yes.
Because the nice thing about when things are very specific is that you know how to do it if you want to follow it exactly. But if you want it to be different, you can. You can then choose.
Yes. Double checking that I've left enough room for the legs. We don't really want a legless bird.
Yet. Yeah, that's only at Christmas.
Okay. So that probably looks about it. So then you're just going to fuse it in place with an iron.
So you layer it all up first
Yeah.
and then press it in place. So if you want to buy some Bondaweb, which you will need for this, there it is on the screen at the moment. That's £2.99. That piece is 120 centimetres by 17.5 centimetres, which is enough to make more than one cushion. Not the whole book, but more than one cushion. But that's good. If you haven't got any Bondaweb, that's just a small piece. We also do sell it by the roll, much bigger. But if you just want a small pack, then that's ideal to get you started. Bondaweb's just one of those essential things to have in your sewing room. That and fusible fleece, and many other things too. But fusible fleece and Bondaweb.
Yeah, always got to have supplies.
Got to have both of those.
Yeah, so you're ready. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch these on the machine. I'm going to use a zigzag stitch. Now on this machine, that's a 3.5 wide by 0.5 length.
Okay.
Okay. So you need to have a little play around with your machine to get to a point that you like it. But be aware that you really do need to make sure that you totally encase the edge and that it is wide enough. I made a quilt for my son years ago now, in 2004, and with lots of little fisher boys all the way over it, with little buckets and all the rest of it. And between their shirt and their trousers, I didn't do a deep enough applique with zigzag, and it's all come away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I learned the hard way. So
it's
make sure,
worth have a little experiment to see how close you can get away with,
so
without it being too dense.
Yes. So let's have a look if I can show you on here once we get going. So might just hand crank it a couple of times to see where it's going to end up. Oh, it's going to sit. It's not going to right the way. There you go. So you don't want to centre the very edge of the applique in the middle of your zigzag, because you don't want half of it to end up on the background and half of it to end up on that piece of applique. You want it all to end up on the piece of applique and just the edge go into the background.
So the very point of the outer zigzag on the main fabric. Yeah, I guess otherwise it adds too much zigzag on the background fabric.
Exactly. And this is struggling a little bit with that, so I'm going to take it up a bit to 0.6. There we go.
But you could applique it by hand if you wanted to.
You could applique it by hand. You could just use a straight stitch.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would do, because I'm a bit of a cheat, is I would lay all of this out to applique. Then I would put I put some batting behind it. Then I'd applique it in position at the same time as quilting
Quilt
it.
as you go.
Yeah. So that you quilted it and appliqued it in one go.
Together, that's a really good idea. And I guess you get a nice definition then.
Yeah, you do.
With the zigzag, it must give it quite a depth, more so than a straight stitch.
Yeah. Okay, so let's cut. So that is what a zigzag is going to look like. I don't know if you want to hone in on that.
Can you see that? Coming in for a nice close-up shot. Lovely.
Okay, so if you are being really, really technically correct, when you reach this point down here, you would start to decrease the width of your zigzag.
Yeah, I never do that. I'm far too lazy.
That is the technically correct way.
Yeah, no, I always read that.
Yeah.
And then I forget, and I get to that point and think, yes.
Okay, I was going to try and find stitch 30 as well, which is a blanket stitch.
Yeah, so some machines, you know, when you buy a new machine and it comes with 300 stitches, you think I'll never use them. Some of them have got some really nice applique stitches on, so some of them will have blanket stitch. So you could, but just get a spare piece of fabric. And what I always do before I start it is the bits that I've cut off from around the edge of my shape, you get bits of fabric left over with the Bondaweb. I always stick those onto some spare fabric and I use that to do my practicing on, because then you know it's the same weight fabric and it's got the Bondaweb on. You haven't got to use any extra. And also it's a really good way if you want to practice going around sort of inner curves and outer curves and lengthening and shortening the stitch. But all those scraps that you cut off, use those for your practice.
I found it.
Oh, so what does that look like?
So this is a blanket stitch. So let's have a look.
Because you always, often on your machine, you have all these stitches, you think what to do with them, so it's quite nice to use them.
Not quite sure where it's going to come out. Let's go first of all. So this, I've currently got it set sort of very square, 3-3. So I'm going into the applique piece, into the background edge. There we go. If you've got a needle down facility, I would definitely use it. So you want to needle down, and if you need to pivot at all, you need to needle down and then pivot. That will keep it nice and smooth.
But you just make sure if you don't have that on your machine, you just make sure the needle's down.
Yeah, exactly. You just crank it down, yeah, and then pivot. So as I said,
what machine are you using there?
This is a 560.
Okay, that's nice, isn't it? So if you want to have a machine that does a few more stitches and has this sort of facility, this is ideal, isn't it?
I mean, also you could use some heavier weight threads. This is just an ordinary 50 weight, but you could use something heavier to be a bit more decorative, especially on the nest where you want it to look a little bit twiggy, perhaps.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you could make it really deep, the stitch, so that it goes in, and that would be quite a good idea.
Well, and you could use some, like variegated or metallic threads on it.
You could do.
The variegated threads work really well, don't they? There's some lovely Aurifil variegated that we do, that we had the other week, a whole box of them with all different variegated. They would look lovely.
They would, yeah.
But we often do, and you say, well, these threads will work really well. And this is the sort of thing where these speciality or variegated metallic, or the ones, the rayon threads, the metal rayon threads that we do, that work really well for all this sort of decorative stitching, where the stitching really is the feature of the design. Well, it can be.
I'm not going to finish just there. I'm going to show you what the correct way of finishing would be. So when you're doing applique like this, there's also a correct way to finish it rather than going back over where you started. And basically what you would do is you go to the back.
Oh, we can actually see from the back that blanket stitch better.
Yeah.
So if can we come in close on them? Just you might need to move it a little bit, like right. Lovely. So that's really nice, isn't it? Gosh, that does look like a blanket stitch you've done by hand.
That was 3-3 on this machine. So I would recommend that you went for something that was the same length as width, so you get a nice square
square
stitch.
one. That's lovely.
Yeah, so what you do is you just pull the threads through to the back. So you just lift up that loop, put it through to the back, and then you would put those on a needle and weave them back in. That would be the correct, most
so that you
utterly
don't,
correct way.
So if you want to be utterly correct, do like that, because then it reduces the bulk and the overlap on the front. And I think particularly if you're doing a zigzag, it's not so crucial. But I think when you're doing something like a blanket stitch, you don't really want to be going back over it because it will look messy.
No, exactly. So I just do a tiny little bit of straight stitch around the bird, so you can see what that would look like as well.
Yeah, so if you don't want to do the zigzag or the blanket, you can just do, it's almost like a machine embroidery, isn't it? Where you just do a straight stitch just inside the edge.
Yeah.
Which means that the very edge will fray a little bit, but then that's almost a feature of it, isn't it?
Yeah, so do bear in mind that when you do that, if you then put it in the washing machine, it will come out with a little bit of a frayed edge, which is quite a nice feature actually.
Yeah, well when you see free machine embroidery, it's always like that, and it looks lovely, doesn't it? It has that sort of real handmade look with the slightly frayed edge. But as long as you've secured it in place, you can choose whatever stitch you like. And actually, the sort of naive images that are on all of these, that slightly frayed look suits them as well.
Yeah, it does. So again, stopping and pivoting the needle down.
And you can add as much or as little decoration as you want. So I presume they have sewn the eye in.
I think it's a button.
Oh, it's a button?
Yeah.
There is a lot of 3D on here. So you've got the yo-yo flowers, the leaves that are 3D, and then there's a button for the eye, depending on what you're using it for. So they'd be, I mean, ideal for wall hangings as well. Well, you could just use, like, just take the bird motif or just the nest and use that for other things.
Okay, so you can see some straight line stitching here on the,
on the
bird.
That's nice. It really gives you an option of how you want to applique it. Or, you know, you could do, if you use stranded cotton, you could do it by hand with a blanket stitch.
Oh, you could do, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's lovely.
Okay. Okay, should we move on to the flower?
Yes, because you've only got about 10 minutes.
Okay. Right, so the yo-yo flowers. So here's one.
Oh, yeah, and it does give you a
It
nice
gives you the
tutorial
template.
on that. Oh, and there's a template.
Yeah, there's a template, so you just, I've just used the template and drawn around it. Cut it out. This is what it comes out like. I don't know if you can see that. So this is what we're aiming for.
Okay. Oh, it's so sweet, little flower.
I think there is a lemon and pink. So
yeah, and you've got those in the bundle, so you've got the
Yes.
yellow and the pink in the bundle.
So I'm just turning over, I don't know, just a tiny edge, just a little bit more than an eighth perhaps.
Oh, so you turn it over and then you...
With a small running stitch, yeah, it's a little bit fiddly, but it is well worth the effort. So I've got little tiny stitches. So I'm just turning it over. Just going to work your way all the way around. So I've got some extra strong thread here. You might want to use double thread. I think this is actually
yes, because you're going to pull these stitches.
Yes,
so
yeah. So you don't want anything. You don't want to use anything.
yeah,
like,
it does say double it. So you either use an extra strong or a double thread.
Yeah. Yo-yos. They're also called Suffolk puffs. I don't
That's
really know a
true.
lot about the history of them.
Other than they come from Suffolk.
Well, yeah, but they're very
presume.
popular in American quilts. There's lots of American quilts that I've seen that are just purely yo-yos.
Okay, because you can buy yo-yo makers, can't you?
You can
I've
buy,
never
yeah.
used one that do this.
Yeah, they help you. So the yo-yo maker is a circular piece of plastic with some holes in the edge, which helps you keep your, there you go, helps you keep your stitch nice and even.
Ah, okay. So that you get, I guess if the stitch is even, you'll get even gathers.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, you can, in the States I've seen quilts that are just made entirely of yo-yos joined together.
Wow.
Hundreds and hundreds.
All sort of appliqued on.
They're not appliqued, they're only attached to each other, so you can actually see through, so it's almost like a lace effect.
Oh, how beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to see one of those.
I was in a guild when I was in the States, and one of the ladies in the guild, she used to make miniature ones, and hers were half an inch finished. And she made them for antique doll beds, you know?
Yes,
Amazing.
of course. Amazing, yeah. I guess you'd need quite fine fabric for that.
Yeah. Because otherwise it'd be too bulky, wouldn't it? But yeah, she used to sell them on Etsy. But the work, the amount of work in it.
I guess it's something, you know, if you were going to do lots of them with this, you know, they've just got a few on, but if you're sitting watching the TV of an evening, you could get through quite a few, couldn't you?
You could, yeah.
You could have them all over, flowers everywhere.
Okay, right, made it all the way around. This is when the magic happens. So it's a good idea to put your finger in the middle. Yeah,
Right.
that's a good place. And just pull it up around. This is when you test whether your knot was good enough in the beginning. So I'm just sort of pulling it in. So I've pulled it into almost like a little bag shape.
Yeah, like a little...
And then what you're going to do is, it needs a little bit of manipulation. Sort of
So I guess you
wiggle
just
it.
got to pull it gently so your thread doesn't break.
Yeah. Let's get it to sit properly. You can see this, it's almost like tiny little pleats all the way around. There we go.
So the bundle that Sallieann's working with at the moment, with the 2.5 metres and the 7 fat quarters, there's more people who have it in baskets than there is available. So remember, the book is in the bundle. So if you do want that bundle, you need to check out, because there's more of you that have got it. But the book on its own, if you want to get that, that's $8.99. And we do have a few left of those. So some people who had the book have now swapped and bought the book and the bundle. So up to you. But if you've got the book and the bundle, you need to check out because there are more people with it in baskets. You need to run to the checkout. But don't worry, the book does come with the bundle of the fabric. But if you just want the book, that's the one that's on screen at the moment. Then put that into your basket, and there are still a few available of that one.
Okay, so and then once you've finished, you go right the way down through the centre. Can you see that? So I've gone from the right side to the wrong side, and then what you would do is you would actually stitch it on.
It's nice, isn't it? I always thought they would go on the other way round, but then you would lose all the gathers, wouldn't you? So that's really pretty. So it's one of the, I can imagine it being a bit addictive. So I'd put on sort of 4 and think, oh no, I'll have more.
Yeah.
And you could have them all over around all the flowers. It's so pretty, isn't it? It's nice that it's got that 3D feel.
The other thing I sometimes do is put a bead in the middle.
Okay.
Because the bead sits well in that little hole.
In it.
Yeah, it's got something like a pearl bead will sit beautifully in there.
Like the sort of flower centre.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. Or a button.
Yeah.
Or a baby button. So
okay,
yeah,
that's the flower.
Yes. So yes, because these are padded applique.
These are padded applique. So I have cut myself a template, a leaf template from good old freezer paper.
And that's in the book.
Yeah.
As well.
The templates in the book. I've got 2 pieces of the green fabric, and you get 2 greens, don't you?
Yeah, you get a dark green and a light green.
Yep. And I've also got a little piece of batting.
Right.
This is slightly too thick, but we're working with it.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got it layered that way up. Batting these 2. I'm going to cut a little hole in the top piece. And then I'm going to make sure that that is in the middle of my leaf. So I'm going to iron the leaf. So
you've got 2 pieces right sides together with a little hole on top of the wadding.
Yep.
And then you've got the template on top of that.
Yep.
And you've used a freezer temp, but you could just pin a piece, cut it out from paper and pin it on if you don't have freezer paper. It's just freezer paper's brilliant for applique because you can iron it on and then it peels off without leaving any mark at all because it's magic.
So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over to the machine. I'm just going to sew all the way around the edge of the freezer paper template.
Right. But if you've used normal paper, you could draw around the edge of it and then just sew around the drawn line.
Exactly. So with a small piece, I would recommend a smaller stitch so that you get a better curve. So I'm just right up against the edge of that freezer paper. Pivoting a bit around the bottom. Piece there. Okay, I've just gone back over where I started. And now what I'm going to do is going to use some pinking shears. Some pinking shears, yeah.
Oh yes.
Take this off. Cut this really close to that edge of line of stitching.
We do have pinking shears on the website if you want some because they are ideal for cutting seam allowances like this where you want to really reduce the bulk because all the little wedges that the pinking shears cut out mean that you don't have all the bulk in the seams. It's like cutting round the edge of the seam and then clipping the seams.
Yeah. Okay. Right, so now we go back to our little hole. I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger so that I can turn it through.
So that's just on one side?
Yes, I'm not clipping the other one, hopefully.
Or you'll have a hole.
And then I'm just going to turn it through.
So is this just used for the leaves?
Yep.
Because they've got a picture of a circle as well.
Yeah, and I looked at that a few times, but if you look in the instructions, it doesn't say anything about any other elements being padded. The one thing I did wonder whether you could pad if you wanted to would be the nest itself.
Yeah, that's true, to give a real raised look.
So here we go. So using this tool, whatever this is called, sometimes I call it a dibber. I don't have no idea why.
Well, dibbers are used for planting seedlings,
Well,
aren't
there
they,
you go.
in the garden?
I'm not a gardener, so.
Neither am I. I just vaguely, I was probably listening to Gardener's Question Time or something when they talk about dibbers, because I have never planted a seedling in my life, but I have heard of a dibber. It's a pokey tool.
It's a pokey tool.
Metal kebab skewers work very well. Just saying.
Okay, so then let's give it a little bit of a press. There's your leaf.
I think they must use these circles somewhere else in the book, and that's why they've got the diagram.
Probably.
Just to show you. But it would be good for the nest, either the whole nest, the outside or the inside. It would look nice, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would do. It would certainly work. Here we go. And you can begin to. So the back of these, in the book, it tells you to sort of lace it up with stitch it up.
Oh, okay.
I might be just tempted to put a bit of fray check on it.
Well, you don't need
Just
to,
a little
do you?
seam of fray check. I mean, what exactly, it's going to be underneath. Do you really need to? I don't think so. Anyway, so then you would pop them on your branch, wherever you want them to go.
So somebody has asked, can you use eau de coat as fray check? No, you can't. No. So how do you attach them? Just in the centre then?
So in the book, they actually show you that there's some vein lines on these,
so
which I haven't drawn on, but
you
you
need
can.
to sort of secure the back.
Yeah,
then.
so what you would do, I would just free motion through it. I mean,
Right,
it depends how brave you're
okay.
feeling. I would free motion to get something a bit more organic rather
Yeah.
than use a straight stitch. I would just free motion it on.
Okay.
Because
yeah,
you
so
want it to-
so you could just, because it's not stitched all the way around the edge, you need to sort of secure the back.
Yeah, you
but
don't really want to stitch it around the edge. You want it to be a little
That's
bit
lovely though,
bumpy.
isn't it? That's
Yeah.
really 3D, so it really makes it come to life. God, what a lovely thing if
Yeah.
you've made this ready for the summer.
Yeah, they look great, don't they?
It's a very nice process as well. Like you say you wanted to make a whole quilt or you wanted to just make a few of them. You could just make 4, so you'd had one for each season,
Yes.
or as a present. Then you can do little bits. You think you've
Yeah.
got, you can really add more of what you want. I mean, you could do any of this as 3D. You could do the nests as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I really like the border. I think the border
It's pretty, isn't it?
Well, it really reflects the colours in the middle as well. That works really well.
Oh, that's so lovely. Well, thank you so much for that. That's been fantastic. So the bundle with the book and the fabrics has sold out? Yes, that's the one that's... Yes, because more people have got it in baskets. You do need to check out, though, because there are more people with it in baskets than checked up. So you do need to check out if you want it. The book on its own, there is still some stock of, but there are only 20. So if you do want that, for $8.99, you are getting 12 different designs. But within those, you've got all these fantastic block motifs, so like the snowmen and the star that's used, and the maple leaf and the shamrock. But you've also got loads, 2 whole pages of applique motifs and words. So for $8.99, that's fantastic value. And you could use each design to make a bench pillow or a normal square cushion or a whole seasonal quilt. Loads and loads of value in there. And actually, when you go through, they are very easy to understand. And I like the way they're very prescriptive. So they tell you exactly where you should put everything and exactly how to do everything. But it gives you then the option and the ability to choose. So if you're going to make one of these, read all the other instructions for the other ones and you will pick up different ideas. So say you wanted to do the pillow that's on the front here with all the flowers, you could use that 3D applique look for some of those elements as well. So pick up the tips and techniques from the other ones, but that's a fantastic value for just $8.99. But we only got 20 of them left. So we are now going to have a very quick break and I will be back in a few minutes where we are going to be talking fabric.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Harrison. I live in Bromyard in Herefordshire with my 3 children and my dog. I've been sewing for over 30 years. I first started at school. We always did lots of sewing, and my mum used to sew at home as well, so that's where my love of sewing has come from. My background is in costume, as I'm sure you can see. And I make for film and theatre and TV. I've worked on films such as Titanic, Shakespeare in Love, Evita, James Bond, and theatre work. I've done things like Mary Poppins, Guys and Dolls, Prince of Egypt. I've also worked for the Royal Opera House and the Royal Ballet. When I worked at Angels, I was lucky enough to meet lots of film stars. They're all walking around the building and in fittings. And some of the people that I bumped into and met were Sir Richard Attenborough, Hugh Grant, Imelda Staunton, Juliette Binoche, and I even got in the lift with Christopher Lee. And that's where I met the lovely John Scott, which obviously you all know. I'm really pleased to be joining Sewing Street. I can't wait to see you all.
In need of a crafting fix? There are so many ways you can watch Sewing Street and Yarn Lane. Sewing Street is live from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day on Freeview 72 and Sky 670. Alternatively, if you want to watch us on a tablet or on the move, you can tune in on our YouTube channel, the Sewing Street app, or the websites at www.sewingstreet.com and www.yarnlane.com. You can watch past shows on Sky 670 from 1 p.m. every day, as well as our YouTube channel, the app, and our website. Yarn Lane is on from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Visit our programme guide to find out when and what's on, so you never have to spend a minute without us.
Have you heard about all of the different ways you can shop with Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? You can either shop on our websites, sewingstreet.com and yarnlane.com. You can also order by phone by calling our friendly UK customer service team. For Sewing Street, call 0800 001 4433, and for Yarn Lane, call 0800 4700 600. And don't forget about the Sewing Street app. Here you can shop all of the Sewing Street products as well as watch the live shows from anywhere. You can download the app onto your smartphone or your tablet by simply searching Sewing Street in your app store. And one final thing, no matter how many times you check out on Sewing Street or Yarn Lane in one day, you will only pay one postage and packaging. Happy shopping!
Follow Sewing Street and Yarn Lane on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with what's coming up on the show, as well as being the first to know about our amazing offers. Get involved with our competitions that are exclusive to social media. And pick up some top tips from us too. Stuck for ideas for the perfect gift? Why not get them a gift card? You can buy Sewing Street and Yarn Lane gift cards loaded up with anything from £10 to £500. Shop our gift cards online at www.sewingstreet.com or www.yarnlane.com, or purchase them via our UK call centre on 0800 001 44 33.
And welcome back to Sewing Street, where we have got all things fabric and books today. There is so much fabric. I'm quite excited about this Moda one here, because it's Dover. But I'm not allowed to start with that one, so we'll come to that one in a minute, but that is beautiful. We're going to start with books. So I've got this lovely, we had Annie's quilting book that gone. Now, we've got another one of Annie's quilting called Big Block Quilts. These books are amazing value. Amazing value. 48 pages and 10 projects. So, if we go through it, because you need to see, £8.99. £8.99 for 10 quilts. That's an amazing price, isn't it? So, should we have a look through? Let's have a look through. So, it says that these are all big blocks. They're quick and easy quilts that you can work on when you have a free afternoon, or if you're looking for a quilt with a bit more challenge. So it's nice sometimes, isn't it, to do something where you've got much bigger blocks, because it grows a bit quicker. Start with the whimsical medallion. Obviously, they've shown photographs in these books. I'm going to move over a bit. I need a bit of space. They've shown photos in these books in their colourways, but remember, you can do them in any colour you want. So just look at the block and don't think too much, because sometimes people are put off by colour. It's hard to picture it, but you know, this would look stunning in red and white or blue and white. And it's a really good way of creating, you know, a really big quilt for your bed, because the centre is 4 squares. And then you've got all these lovely things. I mean, the beauty in this quilt is actually in the quilting, because the block piecing is very simple for it. The diagrams, if you've seen the Annie's books, quilting books, they're really easy to understand and very prescriptive, so they don't make you have to guess anything. It's very easy to understand it. Tells you everything that you need exactly, so you've got your full shopping list there, so you can go, if you have a look on here, then you can go onto the website and choose exactly the fabric you want. All the quilts, and it's the same with all of the Annie's books, there's always a full-size picture, and I think this is really useful, particularly if you're trying to choose your own fabric. When you've got a full-size picture like this that's a little bit smaller, it's very easy to think about how you would create that in your fabrics and where you would put the different shades of dark and light. So say you wanted to do this in blues, you can see that, well, there's the white areas. Oh, that's dark blue, that's medium blue, that's light blue, and it makes it a lot easier to understand, particularly actually because now it looks better looking at that on screen than it does on here, because when you look at it from more of a distance, it's much easier to see those different tones of light and dark. Monkey business. This is just 6 16-inch blocks. This is a really good way of using up all your scraps. Brilliant for that sort of the rainbow vibe that's really in at the moment. You can use all the different little scraps of rainbow fabrics like this one. I mean, they've put a white background on here, but it would work equally well with a black background or a charcoal or a light grey. And then it merely makes the colours stand out. But that's a really fun, ideal for a child, that one. Again, look, there's the full-size picture, so you can work out where you would put your own fabrics. Medal ribbon. This is lovely. This is slightly more complex. Well, it says intermediate. It's more complex than the others, but it's so pretty. So pretty. Let's find the full-size picture of that. That's lovely. It's sort of a whole mixture of big stars. So the centres are really big stars, and then there's little stars around the edge. But the way the colours that they've chosen on this, they look like flowers. They are actually stars, but that's just a really lovely. You've got sort of the yellows and greens and pinks. What a pretty quilt. This would look fantastic, wouldn't it? Put it on your spare room bed, or even, you know, it would be nice as a picnic quilt, even if you did it in some darker colours, because it's just a really pretty thing. But again, it tells you how much fabric you need for each of the different colours, and there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, there's only 6 colours in that. But again, this is an ideal opportunity. You would need to probably buy the background fabric, but all the stars you could do all in different colours and really use up those scraps you've got. That's a 20-inch block that's used in that. And there again, you've got the full-size picture, so it's easy to see what colours you would use in your quilt. Asian Delight. This is a much more modern quilt. It looks a bit like that sort of stained glass effect, because you've got a print that is surrounded by the black frames. It feels very oriental. So if you've got any of those oriental fabrics that have that kind of the slightly metallic print on them, be brilliant for this. Or if you've got some prints that feature sort of large scale items on them, you know, like big flowers or pictorial things, you know, this is a really good way of framing those, and then you can use other fabrics for them. Because you know how sometimes we buy fabric just because we love the print, but we have no idea what we're going to do with it. This quilt would be ideal for that. So, you know, look, you can see from here how you could frame those, and then the way that they're cut, you could have them diagonal or straight on. But with all of these quilts, obviously they have to make them up in certain colourways. So have a look at the fabrics that you've got, you know, and be inspired by use a colourway from a different quilt and change it around. I like this one, Pebble Beach. This is really clever. It looks a bit like the quilt block, looks like one of those windmills that you have on the beach. But it's a really big, well, obviously the book's called Big Blocks, but it's a really big block. It looks lovely in these sea greens, but again, it would look brilliant in pinks and purples as well. Look how, I mean, when you see it there, it's stunning, isn't it? We do try and get as many of these in stock as we can because they're extremely popular, but we're only on single figures on this. We will try and get it back because, you know, they are this book is incredibly good value for everything that you get in it. So if you do want the book, you will need to check out. That, I really like this one. But when you look at it and look how simple actually each block is, and then they're all joined on a diagonal. This one I like because you're mixing together with this quilt. You've got a pieced patchwork border, but you've got beautiful floral applique running down the middle of the quilt. If I show you the whole quilt diagram, you can see how it's pieced together. And then you've got the placement diagram for the applique, but you've also got all the applique templates. But here, it's easier to see than when it's on the bed. I think use these full scale when you're putting everything together, the whole flat shot, and also use it for choosing your other colourways. But isn't that applique beautiful? That's stunning, isn't it? That you can use some simple piecing down the edges and then put all the applique down the centre. There are only 7 of these left. So we'll come back to that, but I want to show you. So we have done this one on air before, Peach Punch. Beautiful. I love the 3D-ness of that one. This one is just a table topper. So not all of them are big quilts. This is really nice. But isn't that lovely how you can see how the blue and white colourway works? That's really lovely. Another table topper in green. And a bed runner. So you've got mainly quilts, but you've got 2 table toppers and a bed runner as well. Okay. Right, I'm going to show you the other one. Now, this is Hannah's favourite book. I did ask her why this is her favourite book. Is it she has a thing about pot holders? But no, she just likes it because it's got loads of different ideas for blocks and it's very good at skill building. So I know it says pot holders, and if you don't want to make a year of pot holders 2, it's obviously the second one, but we love pot holders. They're just lovely. Do you know what's great about pot holders? They're brilliant for beginners where you just want to make something and get it finished and you find the whole idea of a quilt is intimidating. But also, sometimes it's quite nice if you just want to do something quickly. But you learn, you know, it's nice sometimes to spend the time on something very small to learn your skills. You can then use them when you ramp up to the full quilt, then you know what you're doing. But also, obviously, this book is showing you all the details about how to make pot holders, fussy cutting and all the different techniques. But what you've got to remember is all of these have got blocks, and the blocks, luckily, are all the same size, all 8.5 by 8.5 inches, because all the pot holders will be the same size. So you can then use all of these blocks in a full-size quilt. So there are 52. There are 52, so you can make one every week. So if you wanted to change your pot holder every week, or you wanted to make some and give them to other people, but I think, yes, obviously they are supposed to be pot holders, but if I was going to do this, I would use these and make them into a whole quilt, because they are stunning, aren't they? Every single one. And it's a really good way. I mean, like this, just looking at this first one, it shows you how to make half square triangles. So a very simple way of joining together triangles, making half square triangles. So once you finish that, right, now I know how to do half square triangles. This one's got quarter square triangles. This one has got half square triangles and quarter square all in together, and special and other units. So if you chose a colour palette, you could make all of these. So they've, as you can see, they've got background fabric. You could use all the same background fabric, but then just use lots and lots of little prints that you've got yourself, or just choose 5 colours, 3 colours, and do the whole thing. So look, there's all these different ones. Fortress, square in a square, square me up, loads. So remember, this book is only $7.99 and you've got 52 blocks. Remember, there's only one P&P a day. If you haven't shopped with us before, it's $3.95. Once you've bought your first item, your $3.95 gets applied to it, and then all your postage and packing after that is free. So it's only one day. So for this book, we're going to talk about some tools that will be really, really useful. We've got, oh yes, sorry, God, I didn't see the other one there. We're going to come back to that. But we've got one more It's just time is running away with me. One more Annie's quilting book. This is Quilting for the Home. 11 projects you can make to complement your home. This is our newest Annie's quilting book. Now this gives you lots of ideas for doing different things. Nifty napkin basket, again using quilting, so giving you different ideas. A table runner. This is what I sometimes like, is that, you know, although we love making quilts and cushions, it's nice to be given different ideas, because sometimes you want to make things for gifts, or you just want to make something small. It's nice to have the ideas. So you've got a basket, a table runner, a cherry marmalade topper. That's nice, isn't it? I love that. That's an amazing block, isn't it? Look at that, how that really, really goes out. That would look amazing in those sort of really bright, like Tilda or Kaffe fabrics. I'm not sure why it's called cherry marmalade. Maybe it's the colour is why it's called that. But it even comes with the templates that you need to do it. It's beautiful, isn't it? Maple leaf camp cushion to take to your den, porch or cabin, or just your living room. Maybe your living room. That's lovely, isn't it? They've used wool felt to do this. It gives you that really 3D look. And again, all the templates, they really make the best use of space, because you just need those little templates. But because it's wool felt, it's giving that 3D look. Star pillows. This is a really lovely way of learning how to make the sawtooth star. But this one's got a 12 patch square in the middle of it. But remember, this block, you know, this is why these books are great, because there's so much in here you can use for other things. So use these blocks, and you can use for other things. We've got a home sweet home hanging. A lot of the Annie's quilting books mix together different techniques. So this one has got, it's got the flowers, Suffolk puffs, which are, can't remember what they were called, yo-yos. It's got the yo-yos on it that Sallieann just showed us. It's got free motion embroidery. It's got applique. That's really pretty, isn't it? And again, it shows you there's a whole 2 pages on how to do raw edge fusible applique, which is basically applique using Bonder web. How to make a yo-yo. You've even got the embroidery transfer, so if you don't want to just free motion just random, you can draw that onto the fabric first and stitch over it. All the templates you need. A magic carpet lap quilt. It looks very Moroccan, this design, doesn't it? Very sort of that kind of Persian Moroccan carpet look. It's beautiful, isn't it? But you can imagine some of the fabrics, if you had some very, very rich pattern colours. They've done this in a browns, but I think it would look fantastic with a sort of a deep red background. That real sort of Moroccan tile. But again, you know, when you see some of those Moroccan tiles that are all blue and white, it would look amazing in that, wouldn't it? With a very rich, deep bar. That's beautiful. Really like that. Look at it there. I mean, you can see, that's why I love the fact they dedicate... to dedicate the whole page to that makes quite a difference, because then you can choose the different colours. For $8.99, you learn so much. But see, now that's the colour. Those are the colours that I would make that one in. Just look amazing. So I like those colours. 2-colour quilt. The simplicity of a 2-colour quilt can brighten up an already decorated room. It is stunning. You don't really need more than the 2 colours, but they've used 2 prints for that one. So if you've got, you know, a room where you want to put a quilt to just give it a bit of homemade, comfy, cosy quality, just choose the colour palette that's in the room. Or maybe you've got quite a neutral room. If your walls are painted in grey or like a vanilla or a white, you could use a really bright colour, and that's suddenly, you transform the whole room. But that's beautiful, isn't it? And it's just a 9.5-inch block, and you just keep repeating it. Dandelion fluff. Again, that looks like those windmills. I love this one. So this one is lovely, and the fabric that I was just telling you right at the beginning, I think this one would look beautiful in those. There's the diagram of what it looks like. Because I think because it looks like those windmills, it has a sort of, it's called dandelion fluff, but it has a very sort of fresh appeal to it. But I think, I'll show you in a minute when we finish the book, that the fabrics that would look nice in is this new Moda pack that I've got my eye on. Village Star, another traditional quilt. I know there's just so much in here. I can't believe they're only $8.99. because you get loads in it. And then at the back shows you how to actually bind your quilt, how to do the mitered corners. So it's got all the information you need. There is a lot in here. So I'm going to just show you the mode of fabrics now. And luckily, it's new. I love it when I get a new one because I'm allowed to open it. It's new to me. It's not new to Sewing Street, apparently, but I've not seen it before. So I get to open it. When I saw this morning, I went, oh, I love that. I mean, I love mode of fabrics because they're good quality, and it's nice working with quality fabric. And I like their prints. You know their prints will always be lovely. But most importantly, it's all tied together with some ribbon that's printed like a tape measure. And these things are important. I always keep the ribbon and then I sew them onto things. I'd like to say I put them around people's gifts, but I don't. I keep them. Because they make really nice drawstrings or little like tiny small bag handles because they've got the tape measure on them. And that comes free with that. Free. So don't throw it out. And that's very important. It's those little touches. So this bundle's called Dover, and it has been designed, inspired by the White Cliffs of Dover and the returning home. You know, when you're on the cross-channel ferry and you go, oh look, you've just come out of your cabin, and you go, oh, there's the White Cliffs of Dover. This is inspired by that sort of lovely, fresh, it's very spring, very fresh, floral feel. So in the pack, you've got the greys, but when you look, I looked at this quilt, and although this is all in mustard and greys, wouldn't it look fantastic in here? So you've got in the pack, they're all fat quarters. They're 18, but they're American fat quarters. They're 18 by 22 inches each, and there's 20. Gosh, 20. Oh yeah, sorry, there's 20 in there. Why does it not say on the thing? Anyway, it probably, yeah, it says on the screen. 20 fat quarters, 18 by 22 inches. There's enough there to make one of these quilts. So let me just open one of them because this is quite a nice one. So this is the grey floral one. So $79.99. You can make a whole quilt with these. That's your quilt done. Isn't that beautiful? You've got that lovely soft grey, which is often what the British skies look like above Dover. But it's a really nice soft grey. And then these beautiful duck egg, sage green, and a very soft brown, and like not more like an ivory colour. It's a beautiful, fresh spring look. You imagine making a quilt for this, out of this for your bedroom. It just like updates your whole room, doesn't it? But it is very different, isn't it? When, oh God, I cannot fold fabric. I just can't do it. I need to go and work in a fabric shop, and then they can teach me how to do it. It is very difficult sometimes, isn't it? When you see a picture of a quilt to think, well, I don't know how that would look. But actually a lot of the quilts in this book would look great in this colourway. So you've got the greys, and then there's the ticking stripe as well. So there's a lovely floral one. There's the low volume print with the little spots. You've got another just tone on tone floral print. Looks quite William Morris, that one. It's that sort of look. But you know, these you don't have to make a quilt from it. These are great for using for loads of different things. If you wanted to update a room in your house, like your living room, and you wanted new cushions, it'd be ideal for that. And then you've got this lovely, that's the same as this print, but this is in this, it's not cream, but it is ivory, but quite a rich ivory. You've got that with the spotty background, but that with the tiny flowers. And again, you've got that all over print that one was in. Then you've got the same prints, but in this green, and it's, I would call it like a citrine because it's a very yellowy green, but it's not that real acid bright. It's more of a very gentle lichen colour. And you've got the small floral print, and then you've got the spotty print. And doesn't this floral, the one that I showed you in the grey, look beautiful in this green? This makes me think of 1950s summer dresses. Did you ever watch that programme, Homefront? I loved Homefront, and I'm sure I must have missed the last season. And I loved it mostly because of the clothes everyone wore. They all had lovely little brown lace-up shoes and ankle socks, which I then went and bought myself some. and they all had little Fair Isle tank tops, and I knitted one of those as well, but they also all had little floral dresses, just like this. I loved that programme. I wonder what happened to it. Did anyone else watch it? It was on maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. There were several seasons of it. And it was a little village in England somewhere, and it was how everyone coped during the war. And the WI and all the arguments went on, lots of WI arguments going on. It was brilliant. Yes, and I hope everyone else has ever watched it. I loved it, but these prints remind me of that, and my brown lace-up shoes and ankle socks. I wanted a bicycle after watching that, but I still haven't got one. And a green stripe. I wore my brown shoes with ankle socks a lot that summer. I felt I was in the in the 1940s. I felt like I was there. I wanted to put my hair into sort of pin, you know, when they sort of curl it all up. And then you've got that green, but this is so soft, all of these colours to go together. And then obviously you've got the blue, so you've got that print. So this same print you get 3 times. You get it in the grey. I'm going to move that book out of the way. You get it in the grey, and you get it with the white background and the green background. I'll just move those so you can see them. And then you get it also in the blue background. I mean, even though those just go together beautifully, don't you? And then they do exactly the same. When I'm sorting my fabrics out, I never can decide whether to sort them by colour or by print, but they're lovely, aren't they? And then we get the stripe. I feel like I'm working in a shop now. This is great, isn't it? I am in a shop. I am in a shop. Oh, I forgot that. Oh, when have you ever bought one of these and you get it home and you go, oh, I can't quite take it out of the packaging yet because it's so lovely. And then you do it and then you have to get it all out and then you have to think about it for a while, which is difficult. And then you can't bear to use it until that day that you've decided. And honestly, this is a quilt. This is what I would do with it. So there's another, I found another one. Yeah, and then all of yes, nobody can touch the table. So now I've sorted them. Now I've sorted them. Let's make a quilt. Right, has anyone got a rotary cutter? We'll start cutting because, I feel like these should be mine because I love them. But now when you look at them like that, you can see how all of the different colours, whatever combination, however you put them together, how beautifully they go together. And you've got the sort of the large scale prints here. You've got the smaller scale. And it's lovely because when you're making a quilt, any quilt design you look at, it has a balance of print. It has the areas. So let's look at this one here. It has the areas that need to stand out and those that need to recede. So the ones that need to stand out are these windmills, but they're smaller pieces. So you would probably want to use one of the smaller low volume prints for those, like these or these, because you want those. Whereas the background pieces, you can use the bigger prints, or you can use a darker colour for these and then make the windmills from these floral prints because you can use certain areas of them. So it just depends which way you want it to look, and you can use the different tones. So you can see with these windmills, you've got light and dark, and the same here, light and dark. So you can do that with these fabrics as well, or any other fabrics you have. But this is ideal for all of these quilts. Do you know, and actually in the big block quilts, but say the year of potholders, okay? Say you decided you wanted to do this and you wanted to make 52 blocks and join them all together to make a quilt. This pack would be fantastic because you know that they all go together. What I would do though, so as not to waste them, all of these blocks have a background. So I would buy, this is an ivory, I would get some base fabric, our plain ivory that we do, buy some of that and use that as the background and then use all of these prints. So you could make all 52 of them, or if there's one, have a think about how big you want it to be and how you want to do it. Or, if there's a couple that you really don't like or you don't want to do, because some of them have applique on them and maybe you don't want to do that. But, sometimes it's the colourways that put you off. that you look at that and you think, oh, well, I don't like green. Or if we go through the quilting for the home book, which one don't I like? Shall I show you the one? I don't really like those colours. Just saying. But some people do really like their colours, and that's fine. Brown isn't my thing. But that quilt in this colour, these colours, would look amazing because you've got the different tones. So you've got the light and the dark, and you've got the light and the dark in here. So don't be put off when you see the colour of a quilt and think, oh, I don't like that, that's horrible. I mean, I tend to I flick through a book, and when I see the blue and white, I go, oh, yeah, I like that because that's my favourite. And then you're drawn to that, but that might not necessarily be the nice thing. But what I would do with this, I would definitely get the pot holder book, and I'd make all 52 and then join them all together into a big quilt. I would. But I'd have to think, I need to work out, how does 52 equate with rows and height? But you can measure it all out, decide how big, and you can repeat some of them or not use them. But it's just a great way, isn't it, when you buy all these fat quarters, as you know, all these fabrics go together. And sometimes when you see a collection like this and you try and buy it by the half metre, you can't always, there's usually one missing, or you'll find a shop and they haven't bought maybe the stripe ones. But when you've got all of them together, see, you've just got all of them. And I know you won't want to open them and you won't want to use them, but if you've got a project in mind, it gives you that beautiful vintage. Maybe that's why it's called Dover, you see, home front. Maybe that person who designed this had watched Home Front as well. I think there's lots of people who watched Home Front and loved it as much as I did. And oh, you're right, actually, someone's put on Facebook, yes, I think it was called Home Fires, not Home Front. You're right, I haven't watched it for a few years. Home Fires, it was called that. So whoever put that on Facebook, you obviously watched it too. Julie watched it, obviously. I haven't seen it for a few years, watched it more avidly than I did. And so this, I think Dover's a very apt name for it because it does have that sort of quintessentially English feel to it, even though it's made in Japan, so you know it's very good quality. Because right, Liberty. Where's the Liberty? This one. Do you know, I didn't spot it because it's black and white, and Liberty don't often do that, so I didn't spot it. So the Liberty, this collection is from the Emporium collection, and they have, can't I do this? Not. These were inspired by their flagship Liberty store in Regent Street, which is an incredibly old store. I can't really get the knot, so I'll just pull them out. Oh, look at that, magic. So the Liberty collection, it has been inspired by their store in Regent Street. Now, if you've ever been there, it is stunning, isn't it? It's got some beautiful like wood carvings inside, all these sort of balustrades, and the ceilings are beautiful. They've got the most amazing flower stall, and all the fabrics in this collection have been inspired by the actual shop in Regent Street. So you've got this lovely, it is like a swirl paisley print. It looks black, but it isn't. It's actually very sort of midnight navy, and then blues and ivories. Then you've got the peacock feather, the pink peacock feather, and I know there's another one of those, and a blue peacock feather. Ooh. And I think there's another one as well, and a grey. So you've got the 3 grey peacock feathers, again inspired by the Liberty store, but this peacock feather is you'll see this in lots and lots of their Liberty prints. If you know Liberty, you will have seen this over and over again in different scales, big ones and small ones in all different colours. You've got floral fabrics, which are inspired by the flower stall, that they're very famous flower stall. I absolutely love this one. This is beautiful, isn't it? Stunning shades of blue, reds, greens. Now, we did sell these originally by the half metre, but not these prints, and we haven't got any of them. So the only way that we could get hold of these prints was by buying the fat quarter bundle. But there's not very many of them. which I'm not surprised because they are lovely. And love this colour. That goes beautifully with it. It's got that really lovely mustard, but very, very deep mustard colour. Not your light mustard. Deeper than a Dijon, actually. Deeper than a Dijon. In fact, they should have called it that. Deeper than a Dijon. Hannah's laughing at me. But it is deeper than a Dijon. And there's, I really like this one. It's almost the same as this print, but just in two-tone, but a very, very rich peacock colour, peacock teal. And the same print in this lovely raspberry red. And then you've got, see, there's so many of these, either the patterns go together or the colours go together. So those two, exactly the same pattern, but this one, the same colourway as that. So in this bundle, you can mix and match all of them. I mean, and every single piece of fabric in here is just stunning on its own. This is a real sort of, you're going to make a cushion or a quilt or something, this is your sort of feature print. Don't waste all of them. Use plain colours with it, because this is the one that stands out. I mean, the colour in here is so deep and so rich. This one is called Merton Rose. That must be the Merton House collection. Oh, I'm getting better at fabric folding. And then we have 3 prints at the end, which are very Ikat inspired. Oh, we've got the blue one and the pink one. And this one, then you've got the pink and the raspberry and the green in that print. But I love those. They've got that sort of, it is that sort of hand printed quality. So you have got 12 flat quarters in this pack, $44.99, and they are all beautiful Liberty. Now, they're not your Liberty lawn. They're not your lightweight Liberty lawn that you're used to. This is your proper quilting weight Liberty, and there is only one of them left, and it's not allowed to be mine. But it could be yours, because we can't get any more of these bundles. That's it. We bought all the ones that we could, and this one here has gone. It's gone. I'm not even going to attempt to tie that back up together, because that looks quite difficult. Right, so if you want to make a pot holder or something like that, you know, remember on Sewing Street, we're not just all about fabric. We do have lots of other equipment that is really useful. So we have things that you need. So I love this stuff. It's called Thermolam. Thermalama ding dong. It's not called that. It's called Thermolam. Now it is special insulated wadding is its technical name, but its trade name is Thermolam. It's brilliant for tea cozies, pot holders, cafetiere covers, lunch bags, things that you need to come. Now, obviously, it's not 100% heat resistant. You can't use it for a fire glove or to go into your Aga, but it does have some, I don't know what it has, some property in it that makes it's insulating. So if it's like specially bonded and pressed together so that it will stop the heat coming through. So if you were making maybe a table mat or a pot holder or something, if you're making a table mat, I would put a couple of layers in it, but it's ideal. So if for the Year of Pot Holders book, you do actually want to make the pot holders and not a whole quilt from the Moda Dover collection with the 52 blocks, this is ideal. It's really good for tea cozies as well. But it's not too thick. What's great about it is because it's super pressed, it means that it has those insulating properties, but it's not really, really thick. But it's ideal for this. The other product we've got that I love is the Styleville. So Styleville is from Vleiseline. Vleiseline used to be, in the old days, Vileen, and then Vileen joined together with somebody else, can't remember what their name was, and together they became Vleiseline. So it is the same as what Vileen was, it's just that they amalgamated. Now this is brilliant. We call it, its normal name, if you see it anywhere, is foam interfacing. Now this is brilliant because it creates 3D things. The first time I ever used this is I made a cat bed, and I wanted to make, it was like a little bed that the cat went in. It had ears, and I spent quite a lot of time thinking about, this is when I worked on Simply Sewing magazine, how do you make something, a 3D thing of a bed, because it was sort of this size, and make it stand up. Well, this is fantastic. So you can sew, I sewed this to the inside between the front and the lining, and the whole bed stood up. It's brilliant for things like, say you're making a storage basket, you sew fabric to the back and the front of it. You just use it like a wadding, but it sews through. You don't need a thicker needle. You don't need to go extra slow or anything. I don't know how it's created, but you sew through it beautifully. And obviously, if you want to quilt it, it quilts really well. So this is 1/2 metre. Remember, it's 72 centimetres wide, so it's not as wide as your normal fabric. So do think about that when you buy it. But it comes in 1/2 metre pieces at £6.99. So this really is when you want to make 3D things. If you want to use something as wadding because you want to give it some softness, maybe a quilt, or you want to quilt a bag, then the H640, the fusible wadding, or any other wadding is ideal. This is if you want structure to something. So like a storage basket, or maybe a small basket that you're going to put napkins in, or a cat bed. Anything that you need to give structure, this is the perfect thing. And what you can do is you can over sew it as well, but it's just, you can, if you want to join it together in a circle, but it works really well. If you're going to sew it and then you've got seams, what you can do is when you've sewn it all together is you can trim the foam interfacing just within the seam allowance to reduce it. Maybe you want a handle on something that you want to be super strong and will stand out. This is ideal. But wadding will never give you that same thickness and structure. But it's great that you can sew through it as well. I mean, and it's not stiff. It's not like super stiff. It's nice and bendy. But it really is the only thing. So you will often see it referred to as foam interfacing, but Styleville is the Vliceline name for it. So, shall we move on to the other Moda bundle? Because I like this one. Unfortunately, this one has already been opened, so I can't open it. I love opening the bundles. So this is what it will come like. Again, it's 20 fat quarters. So this one is... So this, there are 80... Oh, and there's a panel in this one. Ooh, this is a... So in this bundle, this is slightly different. There are 25 fat quarters. They're all 18 by 22 inches. And there's a panel. So the graphics say 27 because one panel is 2 fat quarters. Now you will get the lovely tape measure ribbon wrapped around it, because when you buy it, it will come like this. But we've just already opened it. So in here, you get your 25 fat quarters and your tape measure ribbon. And a panel. So let's have a look at the panel first. Oh, this is so sweet. This is so soft. You know what I mean? Anyone who's bought Moda fabric will know how soft and lovely it is. This is lovely, isn't it? So this is nursery quilt, isn't it? Or cushion panels. I love the colours. What's really in at the moment for babies and nursery is this sort of neutral colour palette. I've noticed on Yarn Lane, when we sell baby blankets or matinee jackets or anything, the grey always sells better than the pink and the blue. So this whole sort of neutral palette. So if you've got coral, mint, charcoal, and the neutral beige colour. So they're all separated by squares. So you've got a big square where you can put the koala. You've got 2 smaller squares, the koala and the sloth. You've got the llama, the flamingo, all different ones. So this is from the zoology collection. So this is ideal. You can make this maybe as a wall hanging. You could cut it along all the squares and join it together with all the sashing in the bundle. You could make little cushions, pockets. You could make maybe you wanted to make a changing bag and you wanted to put this on the pocket, and then you wanted that on the changing mat and you wanted that as a cushion. There's so much you can do with this whole panel. But not only that, you get the 25 fat quarters in the fabrics that match. So you get the green, well, it's mint, really, a mint colourway, in a spot and a stripe. And look, you can see how these match up. So this is the larger version of the spot in there. And then you've got the more spearmint colour in the geometric graphic, and the spot and the diamonds. Then you've got the same prints in the mustard. So let's put those together. They're very contemporary. If you know someone's having a baby and you want to make them something, but you don't know what the baby is, or you're not absolutely sure what their taste is, but you want to make something for them, maybe you want to make them a quilt and you could use the panels within it, or you could make the quilt as a, you know, that was used on the cot, or as a playmat, you could make a bag and use the panels to go on that, but you're just not really sure what their taste is. This is very contemporary. Most nursery and baby furnishings, the best sellers are in these sort of colours. You've got the it's a grey, but it's not like dark, deep charcoal. You've got those colours, those two prints. You've got the stripe and the geometric. You've got the same in this lovely beige. So you don't have to use all of it. It's not like you have to make one quilt, but there's so many here. And then they've got the lovely, like a slate grey as well. And you've got it in a spot. So these are great because these would be lovely as if you were going to put borders and sashing between something. And then you've got the whites as well. And then a little bit of colour. You've got this lovely peachy coral as well. So you've got 25 of those in this lovely, neutral, gentle colour palette. And you get the panel as well. And there's so much there. I mean, obviously you don't need to use it for baby and nursery. This colour palette is fantastic for a bed quilt because it's very, you know, if you want that kind of contemporary bed look, or why not use a very traditional quilt block, like a log cabin or a sawtooth, something that's a very traditional block, but update it and use more contemporary fabrics. And that juxtaposition of the traditional quilt with the modern fabrics, or the other way around where you use a modern quilt and very traditional fabrics, always works really well. It's very sort of stationary and storage and office, isn't it? You could make yourself some lovely storage baskets with this, with that Styleville. You could make beautiful storage baskets because it's also sort of, because it's quite a neutral but soft colour palette. It's ideal for, well, you've got different colours here, so you could think, right, well, I'm going to use those bits for, I need some storage baskets for my office. Oh, I'm going to make a couple of baby things. This mustard will be, you know, it's just, it's nice to have in your stash, and that because you've got the idea for a project with it. We've got Sallieann's with us in about 10 minutes talking about a log cabin quilt. Now this will be ideal for it. As I said, it's really nice sometimes to mix together the modern colour palette with the traditional design. And I love all the prints here. But you could even use these as a plique, so you could press some Bondo web to the back of them and then cut round and then press them onto something else. So lots and lots of quick makes. But this sort of bundle with those fabrics, particularly the neutrals, the sort of thing, even if you haven't got an idea of what you're going to do with it, fits very nicely into your stash because it will go with lots of other things. So say you've got some really super bright, colourful cave fabrics, the charcoals and the whites and the neutrals will work really well with it. Or if you've got lots of white fabrics, then these mustards and mints and corals will go really well with it. So nice multi-purpose bundle. But again, you know, if you struggle choosing colours to make a quilt and you don't really know, then it's always worth, I say, buy a bundle because someone else has done that colour thinking work for you. I've also got, talking about baby quilts, got a lovely pastel bundle here. And again, we've done the work for you this time, so you don't have to think about it. We've done the choosing the colours. I can't close that. I'll just put that to one side. Love this. This is ice cream. You've got mauve. These colours are all of the same tonal range. So if you make anything with these, they will all go together because they're the same level of dark and light. So you've got that lovely lilac, Parma violet. Then you've got sky blue, mint choc chip green, vanilla, definitely vanilla, and strawberry, which isn't the colour of a strawberry because a strawberry's red, obviously, but strawberry ice cream never is. But isn't that a lovely bundle? So you have got 5 half meters, and this is our good quality 100% cotton fabric. It's beautiful. It's 112 centimeters wide, 44 inches, normal width, half a meter of it, like that, just so you can see. This one, we haven't got many of these left, so this will sell out today. But we will get some more of these in, because this is our really, I mean, we sell a lot of just plain solid fabric by the half metre or by more, which is cut to order. And it's really good quality, so you know this is nice, really decent 100% cotton quilting fabric. Then we've got the same bundle, only different. This is the Rainbow Mixer bundle. This isn't a plain fabric like the other one, and I'm going to show you it with the green because it's a mottled fabric. Shows up and the mottled shows up better on some colours than the other. It shows up really well on the green. So when you look at it, you can see it's not just plain, it's not solid, it's a mixture of fabric. So it gives, when you use this in a project, it gives a real sort of texture and relief. Instead of it being that solid block colour, gives it a little bit more interest. It's ideal if you're using it in a plique or background. If you want grass or trees or leaves, it's brilliant for that, this colour. But because I like these fabrics, because they have that multicoloured look, it's just a little bit more interesting. So in this one, you've got orange, yellow, and that's a pumpkin orange, and that is a real bright sunshine yellow. Then you've got green, that is grass green really, and then you've got blue, and that is a really, really bright, deep royal blue, lovely royal blue. And you've got the lilac and then bright lipstick pink. So lovely. This is $22.99 and you get six half meters. There isn't many in stock of these, but we will be getting more. But we are waiting for a delivery of these. So if it's in your basket, you need to check out. What I love about this bundle, the way it's been put together, it is rainbow, but it's not your traditional red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. It's rainbow, but just a slight twist on it. So it just gives it slight different. Fruit punch. This one. So these are, I'm running out of space. These are your printed panels. This one's called Fruit Punch. I've run out of space. So on this panel, you get 40 5-inch squares. It's like buying a charm pack. Aren't they lovely though? Floral, real sort of 1970s retro feel in coral, navy, yellow and white. But a sort of a mustardy yellow, a light mustard, American mustard, that squeegee stuff, and navy and the coral. So you've got some large prints and you've got smaller versions of the prints, which are ideal for fussy cutting or small things. You're really good for EPP because you can cut round them, and you've got a lot on this panel. $15.99 for a whole charm pack. Now, if you bought a whole charm pack that was cut like this, it would cost substantially more than that. Those are the larger prints at that end. And then at this end of the panel, you've got the smaller prints. So you've got those larger ones, but in a smaller scale. So this is fantastic if you're wanting to put things together where you have small scale and large scale and the colours. You know that all the colours on the whole panel go together. It's the palette of that sort of mustard, navy and coral always works together. And it's nice that you've got the small version. So here, you've got these small flowers. And then here's the enlarged version of them. So you know that they'll all go together. So that's a lovely panel. All you have to do is cut it all up. If you cut it all up into 5-inch squares, you've got a charm pack. But you can use it all together. You don't have to cut it up. So if you wanted to make a really simple and quick cushion, cut 9 of them and quilt it. There's your cushion front. Use 2 for the cushion back. Big cushion, cut 4x4, so you've got 16 of them. if I fold it like that, then you can see what it looks like. That would look lovely as a cushion. And you've got enough to do that for the front and the back. Then all you have to do is layer some wadding behind it and some backing fabric. You can just quilt along the lines really quick. So that's one of them. And I have the say, if you like the fabric, right, that one. So this one is 83 on the end. Yeah. So this is set 1. So this is fat quarter, fruit punch fat quarter set +1. So it's 4 of the prints that were in the charm packs that I've just shown you, but as fat quarters. But these aren't your ordinary fat quarters. These are bigger. These are fat quarter pluses. So these are 28 by 19.5, or 27.5 by 19.5 inches each. And normally a fat quarter is 20 by 22. So this is like a fat quarter plus. So you've got those, on this one, you've got 4 of the prints that are used in the charm pack. And then, if you like that one, I have another one as well. And another one. And then another one, MAUU 68. So this one is called Front Punch Set 2. So on this one you've got the mustard colour with the leaves, the pale blue background with they look like fried egg flowers, but they're just 60s retro, but they look like fried eggs. Smaller flowers, and then the leaf print here. So you've got, depends on which one you want, but these are fat quarter pluses. So as I said, they are 27.5 by 19.5 inches each. So you've just got that little bit extra. You know, when you get a fat quarter, you think, oh, I just need a little bit more. You've got that extra on there. Right, I'm going to try and fold this. Trying to fold this up. Why? I don't know how people fold fabric. It's a bit like folding a map. Can never do it. So we are, gosh, where did that hour go? We are going to have a quick break, and Sallieann will be back with us in a couple of minutes to do. Oh, I can't fold that. I've given up. Just can't fold that. I just can't do it. Just can't do it. I need a bigger surface and an iron. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes, and Sallieann's going to be showing us a new log cabin book with a log cabin design, which is lovely. It's really good if you're beginning in quilting. It's one of those classic things you start, but Sallieann is a real expert in patchwork and quilting, so she's going to be sharing a lot of her tips on how to do log cabin and how to do it properly. So I will, using the Creative Grids rulers. So they'll be really interesting. There's lots of tips and techniques. So I will see you back here in a couple of minutes.
Hi, I've been asked to do a little bit of an introduction about me, so here goes for Sewing Street. I'm Sallieann Harrison. I'm based in the UK in Bristol. I lived here all my life, apart from a short stint in North Carolina, where I lived for 3 years from 2000 to 2003. I specialise in patchwork and quilting. I'm a complete patchwork and quilting addict. I love small piecing, I love wool applique, all forms of applique, and I also like making small little crafty projects. How did I get into sewing? Well, I've sewn all my life. I remember the first thing I ever made was like a little bikini top from one of my mother's old overalls when I was about 9. I got married when I was about 20, 21 and started making curtains at that time. So I was a curtain maker for a long period of time. But it was in 2000 when I moved to the US that I really got into quilting big time. I discovered a local patchwork and quilting store. I took classes. I made loads of quilts. I made some fantastic friends. I met a great tutor called Michelle May. And by the time I left, I was actually beginning to exhibit in 2003. So that's how I got into doing what I do. Tell us something unexpected about yourself. Well, one of the strange things about me is that I'm the world's worst knitter. I can do most crafts. I crochet, I do punch needle, I do obviously patchwork and quilting and dressmaking, but knitting, the pins go in all sorts of weird directions. I have to concentrate. If anybody rings the doorbell, I can't stop mid-row. I am the world's worst knitter. Sewing tips to share with viewers. It's got to be the beard trimmer trick. I mean, why use an unpicker when you can use a beard trimmer to take out the seams that you've sewn incorrectly? It's just the best tip ever, I reckon. And a claim to fame. Probably my claim to fame based on my sewing career was that in 2017 I was invited to the Houston Quilt Festival, the International Quilt Festival, and it was there that I demonstrated some wool applique. It was a fantastic experience, and if anyone's debating going to the International Quilt Festival next year, go. It is absolutely fabulous. And that's a bit about me. Thank you very much for listening.
Follow Sewing Street and Yarn Lane on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with what's coming up on the show, as well as being the first to know about our amazing offers. Get involved with our competitions that are exclusive to social media. And pick up some top tips from us too.
If you'd like to get in touch with us during our live show and send in any messages or any questions, then you can do it on studio@sewingstreet.com. Alternatively, you can message us on our official Facebook page. Have you heard about all of the different ways you can shop with Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? You can either shop on our websites, sewingstreet.com and yarnlane.com. You can also order by phone by calling our friendly UK customer service team. For Sewing Street, call 0800 001 4433, and for Yarn Lane, call 0800 4700 600. And don't forget about the Sewing Street app. Here you can shop all of the Sewing Street products as well as watch the live shows from anywhere. You can download the app onto your smartphone or your tablet by simply searching Sewing Street in your app store. And one final thing, no matter how many times you check out on Sewing Street or Yarn Lane in one day, you will only pay one postage and packaging. Happy shopping!
And welcome back to Yarn Lane. I was just talking about Yarn Lane. Not Yarn Lane, that's 12 o'clock. Welcome back to Sewing Street. Sorry, I was just talking about Yarn Lane. That's, oh dear. I was a bit excited actually, to be honest. I went, in the break, I went out and I saw it was snowing, so I was quite excited. Not very hard, but it is snowing. So welcome back to Sewing Street. And we've got a lovely hour for you here, real sort of a learning technical hour, all about creative grids and log cabin. And we've got this lovely, well, the whole book is about log cabin quilts. So let me show you the cushion to start with. So we have got a bundle for you to buy all the fabrics to make this cushion. I'm going to turn it around because it looks quite different. So although this is log cabin, it looks sort of thread spoolie, strangely, doesn't it? The rotating ones. So the book that we have got for sale here, the Log Cabin Quilts book, you use this in conjunction with the Creative Grids rulers. So we'll go through the book first so you can see, because there's loads of, this is the cushion that Sallieann's going to be making for us. It's just one of the projects in this book. But let me show you the book first. So the book, $18.99. Log cabin quilts is one of those sort of things that I think if people haven't done patchwork and quilting before, is one of those quilts that you always that you always think about. Right, let me just move my rulers out of the way. Right, clear space now. It's always one of those that you think about when you first start quilting, because it's such a traditional design. Now, it explains here, this is blocks from scraps and strips using the 6-inch log cabin trim tool, which we've got here. So we'll go through that in a minute, but we have got that for you. So this, and she explains in here, because there were lots and lots of, if you've not used creative grids before, they're basically rulers that you use with a rotary cutter. And the brand is Creative Grids, and that brand of Creative Grids, which is a really good quality brand because they've got lots of bits on the back, rough areas that hold the fabric flat, and they're very good quality with all the measurements. But they make different rulers for different things, and they do log cabin trim tools, which makes the whole log cabin process easier. But it's really nice because quite often you have the ruler and you think, well, I'm not really absolutely sure what to do with it or how to use it or what I can do with it. Because a lot of these rulers you use for one thing, but it's actually loads more you can do with them. And this book is dedicated to those rulers, which is fantastic. So it explains how to use the book, and Sallieann's going to go through that with us in a minute. So you've got the book and you've got the tutorial as well. It's all in together. Courthouse Steps, which is one of the log cabin designs. It is a log cabin, but a version of log cabin is called Courthouse Steps. You can use it for that as well. So it goes all the way through it, how to use the book in very, very clear step by step. Every single stage is shown for you with the ruler in place so you can see how to do it. And then, then it shows you at the end, this is what it looks like. So if you want accurate cutting and piecing, this is the ruler and the book to have. Chain piecing, all the way through, basically all the techniques that you need to do it, and it covers everything, so that if you buy the ruler you will know that you are going to make full use of it. You're not going to find out in 5 years time it did something amazing and you didn't realise. Now we come to the patterns. I love this one, Cabin on the Lake quilt. It's beautiful because it features the real classic log cabin blocks, then with these little log cabins in amongst them. Fantastic, isn't it? And just think of all the different colours. You could make this very traditional red and white, or you could go really fresh and use little, the tiny sort of ditzy florals. It'd be really good with that Moda Dover pack we had in the last hour, actually. So, a whole different thing. They've done this in very traditional reds and browns and greens. And there's the book, the quilt assembly diagram. It's just stunning, isn't it? I love the little houses in amongst it. And the border is all pieced from tiny strips like that. And then full-size template to make the houses. Welcome Home mini quilt, again using the log cabin just for the corners. So if you don't want to commit to doing a full-size big quilt, got a mini quilt. Again, you've got the templates to do the little houses. Bittersweet table topper. I don't know why it's called bittersweet. I don't know. They should explain that when they give things names, shouldn't they? Why have they given it that name? Don't know. But that, again, features the log cabin blocks, but they've turned them in different directions and made them slightly different, so you get a really nice effect, nice look to it. And then in the centre of it is a pumpkin filled with flowers. Pathway Home quilt. I love this because they've used, by the arrangement of the log cabin blocks, by making the darks and the lights, it's sort of created this light pathway that then they've put little circles on like stepping stones. So if you've ever, look at it, it looks actually quite stunning when you just see the diagram. If you've ever thought, I really want to make log cabin, but I don't know where to start, it looks complicated, the combination of the book and the rulers, and you're away. And the cushion that we're going to be doing with Sallieann in a minute is to get you started. If you've not done it before and you just want to make just a cushion to really get you, hone your skills and work out how to do it, or if you just want to make a cushion, it's perfect. Because then when you buy one of these big fat quarter bundles and you think, I don't know what to do with it, you have all the skills because you've learnt them. I like this one, the scrappy half log cabin pillow. And you can change the arrangement depending on how you move the blocks around. So look at this picture here. This is the same cushion with the same 4 blocks, but it's turned around different ways and it makes a completely different look. But it's that placing side by side the lights and the darks that creates this effect. That's the Courthouse Steps. Table square, so just to put in the centre. But it's what I like about this, although it's a small quilt that's just for the centre of a table, it shows you what it looks like in different colourways. So that's what it looks like if you do it in blue. And then you can do it in green and pink and all the different colours. But then in the centre of this, it's really pretty. They've appliqued like a little pocket with flowers. And you've even got the templates for the flowers and how to do stem stitch. Loads, there's so much in here. I like this. This is for a placemat. So they've used an old pocket from a pair of jeans, and then you can slip your cutlery inside. Nice bit of upcycling. And then this is the one from the cover. I love this one. Grecian squares. This is beautiful, isn't it? I really love the colours they've used in this. The background looks like it's plain, but it's not. It's like one of those low volume prints where you've got like an ivory or cream, but with just a tiny print amongst it. But the shades of blues and greens and reds amongst that. That's beautiful, isn't it? Really like that. But it's very simple. Very simple quilt. I mean, a lot of cutting and piecing, but quite simple. And that's the one on the cover. So for $18.99, there's a lot in here. You know, that's just the projects. But leading up to that, you've got all the techniques. And sometimes you need that, don't you? You want to be able to see it step by step. So when you look at the next pitch, you go, oh, okay, so that's what I need to do. So if you want to use these rulers and make full use of them, this is the book to buy. So that's the book. We've then got the bundle of the two the 8-inch log cabin trim tool and the 12-inch log cabin trim tool, which is also the 6-inch as well, because on here you've got the 12-inch and you've got the 6-inch. So the two rulers are combined together, and then you've got the 8-inch. So everything that you need to be able to create a log cabin is in here. But if you've not used creative grids before, the beauty of them is, well, they all have fantastic markings, everything you need to know. The sides are nice and thick, so you won't cut your fingers. Perfect for obviously for using with a rotary cutter. But they have these textured dots on the back, and that means they don't slip on the fabric, because some rulers, when you place them on the fabric and then you're cutting, they move a bit. But they seem to have, like, I think Creative Grids put as many textured bits as they can. So they've got like a 1/4 of an inch area all the way around. And then they have dots. And then when you get to the bigger rulers like this, there's more dots. So where you've got the 6-inch log cabin tool that's part of the 12-inch, they've got a line around there so that you know it stays. They're really, really good quality. I mean, as they're called, the original non-slip ruler. You won't get this one. This is our studio copy. Hannah ripped that one. The one that you will get will not be ripped. You'll get a nice one. So if you buy them together, you are saving £5. But honestly, this will make your log cabin quilt making quicker and more accurate. And with the book, you can use both of the rulers. So by having the bundle of both of them, it enables you to do everything in that book and more. Because once you've learnt the techniques in the book, you will realise suddenly how much easier a log cabin is. But we also have today for you the bundle to make the cushion. This beautiful cushion that Sallieann made for us earlier. Okay. So you've got 1/2 metre of the cream, but it's the cream that's got the slight, like a linen textures, like vanilla pod. It's got tiny little brown spots. So it looks like that really good quality vanilla ice cream, because it's got the slight fleck to it, which gives that a really natural feel. It's lovely. So there's 1/2 metre of that. Seeded cotton it's called, but it's actually vanilla ice cream. Then you've got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 fat quarters. So there's no book in here. This is just the fabric to make the cushion. So you've got 1/2 metre of the seeded vanilla ice cream fabric, and then you've got 10 fat quarters. I love this, and this is very traditional log cabin colours and fabric. So you've got the lovely milk chocolate with the small like vintage posies. That's nice, isn't it? I know, that's you tell I'm hungry, can't you? Yeah, everything from now on will be labelled as in food terms. You've got the mid-brown plain. You've got dark chocolate in a spot. Then you move on to the greens. And again, you've got sage green in a spot. You've got this green in the floral. I'm just opening them up slightly for you because you can see them better, can't you? Then you've got this lovely greeny blue, which works really well with it in a spot. A nether floral, beige with the flowers, but this looks like sort of raw linen, that kind of colour background with these lovely dusky rose flowers. You've got a similar print, but in an ivory background, and then you have a very deep cream, beigey cream, and a cream. So 10 fat quarters, half a metre of fabric, everything you need to make this cushion, $19.99. But it doesn't come with the book, so it's up to you. So we've sort of swapped it around a bit. You can choose. It gives you a little bit more choice. So you can buy the book on its own, and then you can buy the bundle, and then you can buy the book and the bundle and the rulers. Right. So we're going to go over to Sallieann now. I was going to show us how to do it. You can buy, just to let you know, you don't have to buy the bundle, the rulers together. You can buy them separately. If you look on the website, if you just scroll down below, watch live, the rulers are available separately if you don't want to buy them together in the, say, £5 pack. Right. So, Sallieann, what did you think about this book? Because I think it looks amazing.
Love the book. Love the log cabin one with the little houses in.
I like that. I like that. Have you used these log cabin rulers before? I'm going to
Yes.
show you the cushion that Salliann's going to make.
Yep. Creative Cribs, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's the brand, isn't it?
Just, I haven't used this one. Does the book really explain it?
Yes.
So if you've
So
not
it
used
breaks it
before,
right down inside the book. As you said, you flip through those pages. And the thing to remember is that you've got 3 different sizes and 3 different options, which is
Right.
the log cabin, the courthouse steps, and the half log cabin.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
So courthouse steps is the one on the left,
Yeah.
which is
Which
the
is
one
the
that
cushion.
you've made.
Yeah.
That looks a bit like a thread spool.
It does, yeah.
Old-fashioned one. The centre one is the log cabin.
Yep.
And
no,
then-
no, gosh, I've got to look at it now. No, the centre one is the half log cabin.
Right, and then the outside one.
which is the more with the.
So you
cross
can make
effect.
any of those 3 with this bundle?
Yes, in 3 different sizes. So you can make it 12-inch, like I did there.
Right.
Or you can make it 8-inch, or you can make it 6-inch.
Oh, okay, but this isn't 12-inch. This is massive. So
those are 12-inch blocks. Those
Right.
are 4 12-inch blocks.
So you can make a really big. That's a nice size cushion.
Yeah. So the cushions in the book are all 24 inches.
Okay.
So I did a 4 blocks, 12 inches to make my 24. But you could use the 8-inch ruler and do a 3 by 3. So 9 blocks at 8-inch would make a 24-inch cushion.
Okay. So you can make a 24-inch cushion, but you can choose which
What
arrangement
size.
you do and what size.
Yeah.
All with this fabric. Well, that's great. So it gives you loads of
So
choice.
if you hadn't used them before, and I would start off with the biggest one, because it's a good way to practice, isn't it? Start off with
Yes,
a 12-inch
yeah.
and then whittle your way down, because obviously things get a little bit more fiddly when you're dealing with a smaller
Right.
block.
Okay. So if you've bought the bundle, you'll get the pair of rulers. You'll get both in. But if you just want to do the big one, you can buy just the big ruler separately. But the book will explain all of that.
Yeah,
That's a lovely size cushion as well,
yeah,
isn't
it's a
it?
really good size. Yeah,
I
liked
love
it.
these colours. They're very traditional.
Yeah, I just said to you, didn't I, off air, that when I first started quilting, I vowed that I would never become a brown quilter.
Right. And what happened
And I
then?
became a brown quilter.
And why was that? What was the moment?
It was like, when I first started, I was drawn to really sort of bright colours and pinks and blues, and I started it was very clean. And then I moved on really into browns, because I think, I don't know, there's something that calls to me about the brown, about the sort of tones in it, and it's not quite so crisp, and it's got a little bit more depth.
Yeah, I suppose so. It has a more traditional
And
feel
it's traditional,
as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, yeah, I became a
A
brown
bit more
quilter.
timeless. Okay, so where do we start? I guess
Okay.
we have to choose what we're going to
So,
make first.
We are going to start with, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make each, I've got the 8-inch template out, and I'm going to try and make a log cabin to start off with, then a courthouse steps, then a half log cabin. I've cut myself some strips,
And you're going to use the 8-inch ruler.
and I'm going to use the 8-inch ruler.
Okay.
And the other good thing about these rulers is it's actually got the sizes that you need to cut.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh, yeah.
So for the 8-inch, it says you need to cut your strips at least 1 3/4 inches wide, and the centre square 2.5.
Okay, so that's easy then.
Yeah. So I've just got a combination of light strips, dark strips.
Yeah, that's the important thing, isn't it? You have to sort.
to get the effect.
You've got to go light
Yeah.
and dark.
Yeah, absolutely. So
And do you tend to really sort of go one way or the other? Or what if you have fabrics that you can't decide which is which?
well, I must admit, I threw that one in with my light set.
Okay.
But I think it's quite nice to have one that is not quite so
That's sort of
definitive.
okay.
You know, it makes you look again.
So you keep the majority of them light
Yeah.
and dark, but if there's the odd one, it doesn't matter.
But I haven't mixed any of the greens in. I only use one green in the centre, but you've got some other greens
yeah,
that I
there's-
haven't used.
Oh, right. Yeah, because there's another 2 greens that you
yeah.
haven't used in this. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got a 1/4 inch foot on and a light strip, and I'm going to start sewing them. And I'm just going to sew right sides together, and then we'll work our
So
way
you
around in a
use the ruler to
clockwise
cut
direction.
the strips the right width.
I just
Okay.
used an ordinary rotary cutter and cut the
Right.
strips. So, okay. So this is a way that you could chain piece them. So if you were, you know,
Oh, it talks about that in the book,
yes,
doesn't
you
it?
could put like multiples on. Do you see what I
Oh,
mean?
so if you were making, because you were making 4 for here.
Yeah, so you could just keep going and put a few on and then just cut them straight afterwards.
Okay.
But we'll just do one. Now, just going to get rid of the rest of that. Now, in the instructions and in the book, it doesn't necessarily tell you to trim them at every stage.
Okay.
But I've found, and I mean, last time I was on the show and I did a log cabin ruler, I didn't trim them, and I think it makes it a little bit difficult to follow. So I would rather trim the edges clean as I keep
As you
going.
go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just going to trim that off. So this is piece number 1. So I'm just going to set it
So you just press
to the
it,
iron.
press it
Yeah.
open, or
And then iron it away sort of towards the logs. Okay.
so away from the square.
Yeah. So what I'm going to aim to do with this is do light, light, dark, dark. So I'm going to
Okay.
work around in a clockwise direction. So the next one I'm going to pop on is this one. So then I'm going to trim it back. So it is, you know, process driven. You sort of get into a flow.
So if it says not to trim them, when do you trim them then? Is it?
So you put 4 on generally, and then you trim them with the tool.
Oh, okay.
That's the other thing that I found is sometimes I got a little bit overzealous and put more than 4. So you put 4 on, and you went to trim it with the tool. Well, I just carried on, didn't I?
Then you have to go. Right, then you have
and
to
then
go back.
realised that
Oh.
it's 4 trim. Next
Okay.
round of 4 trim. So yeah, learnt the hard way. So we've got the first 2 on. So now we're going to change colour and go into the darks. See, perhaps I should explain, what I was finding, that if I didn't trim it level, then I had a piece that was jutting out here.
Yes, that makes sense. And then
so
you
there
can't
was
line it up as well.
Exactly, you can't line it up as well. There was an opportunity then to sort of get it squiffy.
Right. So it's best really to quickly trim it.
Yeah, I found that it did keep them neater.
You want squiffy quilting.
Squiffy. I don't know if that's a technical term.
It definitely is a technical term.
So again, you just set it and then press it outwards. And then this will be the last of the set of 4. So you've got 2 dark strips, 2 light strips.
So you could use the same dark colour strip or different ones?
You could do. Depends how scrappy you want to go.
Do you plan it ahead before you do it, or do you just sort of pick up the fabrics as you go?
I just pick it up as I
You
go.
don't?
No, I'm not really that much.
No, I see. I would struggle with the plan. I think, oh, because it's quite hard to lie them all out as well and know. I love log cabin though. It's so satisfying. The finished look of it, and I love the way that you can turn the blocks round. I can never decide which arrangement I like the best.
Right. So that is number 4.
I do like the cabin on the lake one though. I think that's lovely because that's just appliqued on that little cabin, isn't it?
Yes, it is cute, isn't it?
So you could do that on this one because once you've got the book, the cabin applique's in there, so you could put that on the centre of the cushion, couldn't you?
So once you've put 4 on, this is the point
Right.
that you bring your ruler in.
Okay.
And you centre, it actually says round 1 log cabin.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And you just centre it on that centre square. There's a square on there. I don't know if you can
Yeah, I can see that.
see that. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you put that on the centre and then you trim. So this is where I'm spinning that.
So by trimming it at this stage, it's keeping it more accurate.
Yes.
Rather than getting to the end
Yep.
and realising it's off.
Yeah, exactly. So I've just spun it round.
Is that because it sort of distorts as you sew it that they've done that? Why do you trim it sort of at these different stages?
Well, it just helps to keep it square, really. It would, I mean, sewing will naturally distort,
Yeah.
won't it, depending on the fabrics.
So if you
that
didn't
you've used,
trim it at each stage,
it would begin to go a bit.
okay. So you will get a much neater finish with these.
Yeah. So that is your first round.
It does say since each round is squared up before the next set of logs, the results is, but yeah, it keeps that real accuracy.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the last piece that I put in. So you're going to keep going in a clockwise direction. So you're going to need 2 lighter colour pieces down this side. So those are the pieces that I'll put in next. So I'll put in some of this.
So you can grade it from like lights, light lights, medium lights, dark lights.
You can.
And you can grade with the brown, or you just go random.
Oh, I expect there's infinite.
Oh, that's tricky to choose, isn't it? Or maybe I'm just overthinking it.
No, it's mathematical, isn't it? You're talking combinations and permutations.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, woo, there's loads of them.
But then, when I look at some of these in the book, it's very random. They've got the dark ones in this one that are yellow, green and red. And these are just being placed randomly. This is like, you could just use this so many times. I think the cushions are stunning. I think I don't know, what's that one called, that assembly?
I don't know. There's lots of different ways
Love that one.
putting log cabin blocks. Isn't there something like rows and furrows? And
Oh
there's
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
lots of different settings that give like different
Yeah, there's
designs,
different names for them, aren't there?
which are like steeped in history because it sort of goes back years.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? I guess because you're just using strips, aren't you?
Yeah.
And because you just pick them up and you could use whatever, then it's a really scrap busting thing is a log cabin. As long as you use lights and darks, I guess it doesn't really work otherwise. And it's nice that it gives you all the measurements as well, how much fabric you need. So if you
Yes.
wanted to make a stitching block, whether you've got square and a square, courthouse, half log cabin, it gives you all the different measurements. It's one of those books where you stand there and you look at your fabric stash and go, right. Where shall I start?
The other thing that you could do is actually, and I know people that do this, they keep strips, like, I mean, these are 1 3/4 inch strips, but you could have, especially if you've been using like a stripology or something, have strips left over and they begin to pile up in the corner. Get yourself a book and a ruler and all those, you know, and it's like using it all up, isn't it?
It is, well, because they're such narrow strips as well, you are using it all up, aren't you? So if you do the 6-inch square, you have 1.5 inch strips. So if you've got even narrower ones, then you just do the 6-inch log cabin. Oh, it's a nightmare working on this show, because every show we do, I think, oh, actually, do you know what? I really want to make one of these. In the last show, I'm making now a quilt from 52 pot holders. But now, I know. I made my sister, for her wedding present many years ago, like over 20, a log cabin quilt. She's still got it. It was blue and white. But I didn't have anything fancy like a log cabin tool. I did have a rotary cutter. I think it's the first quilt I ever made. And in the centre of the centre block, I put a heart. But I think, honestly, that's the first quilt. I'd love to see it now, but it was rubbish. You know, if you went back to your first ever quilt. But there you go. You see, that was obviously what I thought at the time was the traditional thing, was the log cabin.
It was enough to get you hooked.
Oh, it was, yeah. Yes.
I mean, I remember my first quilt, it was out of Laura Ashley fabric. So I was living in the States and I had scraps of Laura Ashley fabric. And I found my first quilt shop. I'd been totally inspired. I'd gone home to my Laura Ashley fabric and thought, right, I am going to make you work for me. And so I made 4 pinwheel blocks with this dark green border. Well, none of the points actually met in the middle of any of the pinwheel blocks whatsoever. So I covered it all with a strawberry button.
Well, there we are.
And then the border was green, and I cut it I decided to go for like a mitered corner. Well, I cut it too short, didn't I? So I had this hole in the corner, but I still hung it on the wall.
Well, yeah, because that's what. This is what annoys me sometimes about quilters, is people are so precious, as if there's a way to do it, and they were born knowing it.
Yeah.
Well, everybody had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And make those mistakes. I must ask if I can see my log cut. I bet it is rubbish, but I remember the joy of making it, and the blues and the whites, and how and it just looked lovely. Well, I thought it looked lovely. I bet it didn't.
And lots of people also say, and I've seen it so many times, oh, I finished it, it's not perfect. But you think, you don't want to make something that's perfect.
It's not supposed to be perfect anyway.
It's not, is it? Isn't there some sort of like Greek philosopher that says 3 things have to have 3 imperfections or something?
Yes.
Yeah. So go
or
with
more.
that.
Go 3 or more. It doesn't say that they do have different names, don't they, all these log cabins? If you can think of what they are, message us in, because we can't remember what all the names are.
Okay, so this is the second round now.
Okay, so you add 2 lights and 2 darks, and then you're on round 2.
Yep. So I'm just going to trim that. So
yeah, because I definitely, when I made mine, I did not trim between rounds.
So again, you're just lining it up where it says round 2, so it really is.
That's really simple, isn't it? And also, it's got the log cabin printed, so it's easy to know where the centre is.
Yeah.
Because you put the little log in the centre.
I think the only fall down point is after you've trimmed each time, you need to go back and look at the last piece you put in and know that the next piece goes in that way. Don't start turning it anti-clockwise.
Yeah. So, but I guess if you follow the book and the instructions they tell you, then you would get used to that, wouldn't you?
You would.
I like what they've done in this one. Is quite interesting because they've done lights as whites and then darks are just the colours. So you don't have to do like dark. You can just do plain and coloured.
I also like the applique that they've done on top of the whites or the light coloured logs, because that gives a really nice background to a piece of applique.
It does, doesn't it? I think, and I wondered how they did those houses. I thought that looks really complicated, but they're not. It's just bonded appliques of the houses. I thought these were pieced. I thought, oh, that's going to be really hard, but it does work really well. So you've got like a pieced fabric is the background.
Yes.
And it gives the words as well. So that's a really nice font. Your story begins at home. You could just put that on your quilt.
Yes, you could do.
It's lovely. It's a nice book. Scrap your stash. That was a bit Bristolian, wasn't it? That's because Sally and I both come from the West Country. We should do this show in Bristol, in Bristol accent. Scrap your stash. Is there a set number of strips you have on a log cabin? Or do some have more than others?
Some have more than others.
Okay. What, like the bigger ones have more than others?
Yeah, I mean, you could go on and on. The bigger you get, though, the more distortion you're going to...
Yeah, and how many rounds does the ruler go to?
So the ruler is 3 rounds.
It's 3 rounds, okay. And the same with the 6-inch and the 8, they're all the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
3 rounds is fine.
Right. It's the last 2 now.
So when you sew your strips on, you always start above, don't you?
I'm starting above.
When you put your
Yeah.
you haven't lined your strip up exactly across the top. Is that because that makes trimming better?
Possibly. Don't know. You lost me there.
Well, your brown strip sticks above
Yeah.
it rather than level on that end, and
Yeah.
you're trimming it off. And is that better to have it sort of sticking up a bit and then trim it rather than leveling it off, rather than starting with it level? Because you haven't matched the raw edges, you then cut it afterwards.
Yeah. I think so.
Right.
I think I know what you mean, yeah.
Well, you've trimmed off both ends rather
Yeah.
than just the end you finish with.
Yes, to try and keep it
Yeah.
neat.
So by having the strip extending a bit above.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You see
Sorry,
how
yeah,
you're-
the indents, yeah. That gives me something to trim.
Yes,
Yes,
that's what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Rather than having it level, so that you
Yes.
can trim it better. That's very quick. You've made a whole log cabin blog.
Yeah. Okay. Right, so should be the final trim now.
So this is 3. Round
Yes.
3.
Yeah, so it actually says on the ruler, move this out of the way a little bit, getting a bit messy. It actually says on the ruler round 3, you just put it on
so
the
you
green
just put
square.
the little picture in the middle of 3.
Yeah.
I suppose you could use a rotating cutting mat, couldn't you,
Yes.
to make it a bit if you didn't want to turn it round.
Yeah. I couldn't find it. It's my favourite piece of kit. Love it.
I've got one and I love it.
You said you had them on the website, have you?
Yeah, I'm sure they're on are they on the website, Hannah? Have we got some in stock? Yes, they'll be on the website. They are brilliant for things like this. That and FPP,
Yeah.
because you can just turn it round. I mean, they're obviously you don't have to have one. You can move it round, but a rotating one's brilliant.
Okay, so let's just try and tidy up, see where I'm going. So that's your 8-inch
Oh, that's so neat.
log cabin.
So neat.
Um,
You can really see the light and the dark. I quite like it actually, where you've put the 2 colours together.
yeah. Can we go back to the pictures again?
In the book?
Yeah, and I sent in.
Oh,
No?
can we go back to the pictures, please, Hannah?
Oh, there we go. So this one is going to be the same as the one on the far my far right.
Right, okay. The one that
So-
looks like a cross.
Yes, so basically that picture there is 16 of this here on
Oh,
the table.
okay.
Yeah.
I like that one.
You can
That's
just-
probably got a name, isn't it?
probably. Okay, that's that one then. So should we go on and do the courthouse steps one?
Yes,
Just
which is the
next
one that you've done in the cushion.
Yes. So this is just slightly different. So again, you're using exactly the same size strips. So the centre is 2.5 and the strips are 1 3/4 inches.
Yeah, and that's if you're using the 8-inch. But if
Yeah.
you're using the 6-inch or the 12-inch, it
Yeah.
does tell you.
It tells you on there,
Exactly.
which is really handy, isn't it? Because it's like,
Yeah, it is.
instructions, where are the instructions? Oh, it actually says
yeah,
on there.
and it actually says on it, which
Yeah.
is quite handy, isn't it? And it even has the centre square as well on there, so you can cut it there.
Right, so this is on one side, and then you put the same on the other side. So you're going to start working your way light one way, dark the other way.
Okay. So you're still using your dark and light strips, it
Yep.
just depends which way you sew them on.
So again, I'm just trimming them back level with the centre square.
And you can use any ruler
Yeah.
for that. Well, I guess you could use your log cabin
Yeah,
ruler
you could
for
do.
that.
And then I'm just going to set,
Always press and sew,
yeah,
or sew and press.
set the seam and then run it away. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the dark set and start building, put in two
Yeah, so
dark
this one,
sides.
rather than going sort of the right angles,
Yep.
you go either side.
Yep.
So I think that's maybe it has that thread spool. I think because you've got the dark on the top and the bottom, it looks like a spool.
It does, doesn't it?
So if you want the bundle that we've got on the screen at the moment with the two creative grids with the £5 off, that's about to sell out. But you can buy them separately. But obviously you don't get the £5 saving. But there's only a couple left. So if you want the two, so the 6 and 12-inch combined plus the 8-inch, they're about to sell out. But we do sell them separately if you do want them. So Sally is using the 8-inch one at the moment. So there's the book that we're using, and then the 8-inch ruler is the one that Sallieann is using to trim it. And you can choose which size you do, but obviously if you're using the bundle, then use the 8-inch works.
The photographs are all done with 6-inch.
Okay.
Okay.
It's quite nice, isn't it? And the whole book explains all of that. And if you buy both rulers, then you've got the whole option. Every log cabin you'll ever need.
Okay, so same process, log cabin, courthouse steps, centering square, just put it on that green square and then take off the sets. Ooh. Then just spin it around, do the other two sides.
Oh yeah, so then it tells you, so whether you're doing the half log cabin or the log cabin or courthouse, it shows you the trimming. So it's the half log cabin is a different square that you use for the trimming. That one's sort of there, whereas the log cabin or courthouse steps is the same.
Yes. half log cabin is just slightly different because because you add 2 pieces and then trim, another 2 pieces and trim.
Ah,
Whereas
okay.
with the courthouse steps and the log cabin, you trim after 4 pieces have been put on.
Okay. This is the beauty of standing up sewing, isn't it? It's so much easier to sew and trim.
Yeah,
You haven't got to keep getting up.
it is.
So I do that, get up, have to press it or cut it. The other day I tripped over the cord of my pedal, fell into the ironing board, knocked the iron off, but luckily it didn't fall on the floor. I'd have burnt the carpet as well. But there was water everywhere. It's because I was in a hurry, so I just tripped over it and then fell into the ironing board. But
Could have been really nasty.
it could have been really nasty, but luckily the main thing was the iron did not fall on the floor and I didn't burn the carpet. And I was also worried that I'd have broken the cord because I tripped over it and it pulled it out of the machine, but it was all fine. I was more worried about that. So do not sew in a hurry.
Sorry?
Don't sew in a hurry. I was very keen. I thought, all right, I've done that. Great, I'm going to press it. Not concentrating.
I must admit, sometimes I set it up deliberately so I have to get up and go and press. So I'm trying to get steps in on my Fitbit.
I've never thought about that.
So this is the second round. So it needs to go back under the ruler now. Be trimmed.
So you centre the square,
Yep.
the picture.
Yep. Centre on 2. Okay. So now we want to go back. Which one haven't I used? This one. So we're going to go light, dark.
And you've
round.
done it now where you've moved out in shades as well. So you've got the lightest light and then the darkest light.
Yeah.
I guess it's nice to just go random though, isn't it? It means you don't have to overthink it. So in the bundle, the cream fabric you get makes the back of the cushion.
Yeah.
That's good. So all the fat quarters are for the cushion front, but there's enough to make the cushion back as well.
Just getting rid of the excess.
we've got about 5 minutes left for you. I'm quite impressed. You've managed like 2 whole blocks.
So do you want me to stop there with that one and just begin to go over the other one as well?
Yes, okay, yeah, that would be
Yeah.
nice.
So so this one you just finish off the last
With the
2
two-
rounds
the two
and then you put it
dark
under the ruler.
And you trim that
it.
one.
Yeah.
So the last one is the half log cabin.
This one.
And the ruler comes with all the instructions of how to use it. Obviously, not like the book, it's not like as intense, you don't have all the step-by-step guides and you haven't got the ideas of the patterns, but it does give you, it's quite useful to have that on your work surface so you can just see how it works, but you won't get the same inspiration that you get with the book.
So exactly the same starting off with a light strip. So with this one, the next one piece you put in would be a dark piece down this side. So you're almost creating a sort of like a woven effect, aren't you, as you go?
Oh yes, that's what
block.
you mean.
So
Give
a
you a
dark
picture of it.
piece.
Yeah. Like a braid. It looks a bit like the French braid pattern, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it does. Yeah, it does.
But basically you just put light at the top and dark on the right, and then light at the
Yeah.
top and dark on the right, and then keep trimming.
But you keep trimming as you go. So the first trim for this one comes after you've only put in 2 pieces.
Okay.
So then you're going to line it up exactly the same way. And just trim it. Just those two corners.
And because they've got the 1/4 inch seam outs around the edge of the ruler, that's what gives you that extra.
Yes. So it's another light one.
So this, the quilt that has all the little houses in it, the cabin on the lake, that's half log cabin blocks. Honestly, by the time you finish reading this book, you'll be an expert. I'm getting there now. I've got what's the difference between courthouse steps, half log cabin, full log cabin, and how it works as well. Because it looks just like a normal log cabin, the cabin on the lake, but it isn't.
You put it back under the tool, so just 2 pieces, back under the tool, you're on round 2. Just level it up.
Yeah, no, it does give like an interwoven, like a braid effect, doesn't it?
Does, yeah. Just put a couple more rounds.
So with this cushion that you've made, you choose whether you make 4 half, 4 full, or 4 courthouse.
Yes, yes.
And then you just join them all together.
Yeah, I mean, you could use a combination. You could, if you're one of those people that has a design wall, you can make a combination of 3 different blocks and turn them in all different directions and make a totally unique
It would
quilt.
look completely different because
Yeah.
it does depend on which way you turn it around, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's really nice. think it's really effective. I'm very impressed with the way that the rulers and the book work so well together.
Yeah, and also with like quilting it, log cabins tend to sort of interest people that like to hand quilt because they can hand quilt the logs. That becomes really good.
Right.
But I mean, you don't have to hand quilt it. You can machine quilt it, which is what I've done with that one.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah. So it's quite sort of straightforward quilting. You do straight lines rather than.
Yeah, so you don't have to do, if you don't want to
No.
do an all over pattern, you can just do straight lines.
And also that cushion's just got like an envelope back, which is very easy. You can,
Yeah.
I mean, you could
Yeah.
add some buttons
Yeah.
if you wanted, or just to have just a straight envelope back.
But that's very simple, isn't it? So
Yeah.
you can spend your time creating the front, and there's enough, the fabric, the seeded fabric is for the back, and then you've got all of that to make them out. And did you have fabric left over?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. So you can make even more.
Yeah.
Or you could then have a go at the 6-inch, and make something smaller. It'd be quite nice to make it on a miniature scale as well.
And I think that like the 6-inch makes a lovely pink cushion.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
just about the
little
right
one.
size, yeah. And you could use your very special scraps for that.
Yeah, you could do.
Okay, that's lovely.
Okay, did you want me to keep going or?
Yeah, we are going to have, you can sew on one more strip, I think.
Right, one more.
And then we'll have to round up. I don't know where the hours just go. 1 minute it was 5 past, and now it's 5 to. So it's worth spending the time to press it
Yeah.
before you move on to the next one, because if you finger press it, it just won't be as flat as it should be.
Yeah, so you can see it beginning to grow now. But it's amazing that something like this can go into those pictures. It's just like...
I know, it's really odd, isn't it? I mean, when you look at it, you think, wow, how does that work?
Yeah.
You know, and you look at the quilts in the book, and it's nice that it gives you that different
Yeah.
inspiration as well.
Saying that, I nearly forgot. So I made those pictures using a layout tool.
Right.
Here are the blocks that
Oh, okay.
I made it with. So here's the log cabin, here's the half log cabin, and there's the courthouse steps.
Oh.
So those are the 6-inch ones. That's what they look like.
Oh, I like them at 6 inches. They're really sweet,
They're pretty,
aren't
aren't
they?
they?
So, and it depends on how you turn them and join them
Yep.
together.
Yeah, because I mean, they would all if you wanted to mix them up, they would all fit together. So you could really play with them all
Yeah.
the time.
That's lovely. And all of that with the book of the rulers, you've got everything you need to carry on then. So use this bundle to make yourself a really nice cushion and learn,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
create an amazing quilt.
Yes.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Sally. When are you back with us?
25th of February.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, we will see you then. Thank you so much. I love that. You've really given us some really good tutorial and inspiration
Good.
on how to do this. So I'm going to have just a quick run through. The rulers have sold out together. Yes. But the rulers are on their own. So luckily, the 6-inch and the 12-inch are joined together. So this you get two for the price of one, really. So £24.99, and there's the 6-inch bit there, and then the whole thing is the 12-inch. So you get the two together. So that's £24.99. If you want the 8-inch one, which is the one that Sallieann used for her demo, that's coming up now. And that one, so that's just the 8-inch, that's £22.99. So depending on what size you want to make. If you want both of them, obviously you have to buy them separately together, if you see what I mean, because they've sold out in the bundle. But it depends on what size you want to do, whether you want the 6 and 12 or the 8-inch. So there's the rulers. The book, lovely book. So this book goes with the rulers. They are designed to be used together, because you will get, by using the rulers and cutting them in that way, you will get much neater, more accurate results. And if you're making a quilt where you're joining together, you know, if you look at some of these that are using lots and lots of blocks, 114, there's 114, that's a lot of blocks, 140 blocks in that one. Yeah, because 14 rows with 10 blocks in each. The accuracy is absolutely important when you're making lots of blocks. You join them all together. So by using the rulers, it works. So you've got all of the fantastic techniques, step by step, cutting out every single step that Sallieann has just shown us is photographed and shown to you here. So by the time you've finished one of these, you will be a log cabin expert. But then you've also got the quilts as well. So once you've learnt your technique, you can decide what you want to do with it. And there are three. There's the normal log cabin, the half log cabin, and the courthouse steps. 3 different techniques. And the designs and the projects in this book are using all of those different techniques. So this one is the half log cabin. And it's got the applique templates to make the houses. And it's even got the templates to trace the words, which you could put on any quilt. Table topper. That's lovely. So the fabric bundle is sold out as well to make this lovely quilt. So, but if you buy the book, then you can make your own, because what's great about it is, as Sallieann was saying, it does use very narrow strips, particularly if you make the 6-inch. The 6-inch uses 1.5-inch strips. So you know you can use all those little offcuts because each strip isn't very long, and you can make something beautiful. Just sort them between light and dark. So just going to have a break for a couple of minutes, just swap over, and I will be back with more creative grids. So if you've been inspired by this creative grids show, we'll talk about some more and other things that you can do with it, and some interesting quilting tools as well. So I'll see you back in here in just 2 or 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Wendy Orlando and I'm a craft blogger. You can find me over at thecraftyco.com, and if you do head on over and have a peek, you will see that I'm a tutorial blogger. I do all kinds of crafts, but my passions are crochet, knitting and sewing, which I've done for over 45 years. In that time, I've made lots of mistakes, but I have learned lots of tricks and top tips that I can't wait to share. What I'd like to bring to the Sewing Street table is to show that you don't need to have gone to university or have a degree in design to be able to sew. You just need passion, a bit of courage to take the first steps, and a whole lot of patience. Oh, and an unpicker. You will need an unpicker. I do hope that you will follow me as I take my Sewing Street journey, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.
If you'd like to get in touch with us during our live show and send in any messages or any questions, then you can do it on studio@sewingstreet.com. Alternatively, you can message us on our official Facebook page. Have you heard about all of the different ways you can shop with Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? You can either shop on our websites, sewingstreet.com and yarnlane.com. You can also order by phone by calling our friendly UK customer service team. For Sewing Street, call 0800 001 4433, and for Yarn Lane, call 0800 4700 600. And don't forget about the Sewing Street app. Here you can shop all of the Sewing Street products as well as watch the live shows from anywhere. You can download the app onto your smartphone or your tablet by simply searching Sewing Street in your app store. And one final thing, no matter how many times you check out on Sewing Street or Yarn Lane in one day, you will only pay 1 postage and packaging. Happy shopping! While we're having to spend more time at home again, we're here to keep you busy and entertained. Sewing Street will be live every day from 8 a.m, bringing you plenty of demonstrations with our experts in dressmaking, quilting, bag making, toy making, needle felting, embroidery, and so much more. Our community of fellow sewists on the Sewing Street fans Facebook group are there to chat to you about whatever you're making, sharing photos and advice. Check out the Sewing Street Facebook and Instagram pages for fun competitions and offers.
In need of a crafting fix? There are so many ways you can watch Sewing Street and Yarn Lane. Sewing Street is live from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day on Freeview 72 and Sky 670. Alternatively, if you want to watch us on the tablet or on the move, you can tune in on our YouTube channel, the Sewing Street app, or the websites at www.sewingstreet.com and www.yarnlane.com. You can watch past shows on Sky 670 from 1 p.m. every day, as well as our YouTube channel, the app, and our website. Yarn Lane is on from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Visit our programme guide to find out when and what's on. So you never have to spend a minute without us.
Hi, I'm Debbie Shaw from Sewing Street, and these are my 5 top tips for successful sewing. So, number 1, always use a good quality thread. A good quality thread will keep your seam stronger and also helps prevent link building up inside your sewing machine. Tip number 2, if your project isn't going quite according to plan, put it down, walk away from it, come back again the next day, and you'll probably find that things don't seem half as bad as they did. My tip number 3, never throw away your sewing machine manual, always keep it to hand, because you're going to find hints and tips, techniques and troubleshooting in that manual. You'll miss it if you lose it. My tip number 4 is to read your pattern instructions before you even cut out your fabric. Different manufacturers of patterns will give you different instructions, different ways of constructing your garments and different seam allowances. So to have a successful garment, you need to follow the instructions precisely. And then tip number 5 is don't give up. Every professional sewer sewed their first seam. Every professional quilter quilted their first quilt. Every professional quilter sewed their first line of wonky stitches and had to get out the quick and pick. That's no different to you. So I hope you find this useful. I'll see you soon.
Hello, welcome back to Sewing Street for the final hour of the day. Before we move on to Yarn Lane, very excited because I've just met Christine, who's just arrived in the studio, for the Yarn Lane show in an hour, where we are launching her new range. And we get to see it first time ever today because it's been launched. So, but before that, I'm going to talk to you about creative grids, because if you watched the last show, we did the log cabin rulers, and as you can see, if you watch it from Sallieann's demonstration, how much easier using the right rulers makes to your quilting. So the first step, I think, when you start quilting is you move on to rotary cutting, and you realise that if you've got a ruler and a cutting mat, which you have to use because it has to be self-healing, and you've got the cutter, suddenly you can cut quickly and accurately. You do have to have the ruler, the mat, and the cutter, and it's very important that you use a special ruler. Don't ever use like a metal ruler or a normal plastic ruler you'd use in school with a rotary cutter. You will cut your fingers off. So it's very important that these, maybe not off, but badly. Okay, so I exaggerated. You cut them badly and they will bleed a lot, honestly. And everyone who has quilted will have at some point cut themselves with a rotary cutter, and it takes ages to heal because it's a very, very fine cut. But if you use the right ruler, you'll be fine. So when you move on from the normal rotary cutting, there's then this whole new world of special rulers. So you thought you had a ruler that just cut 1-inch strips or whatever you needed, but no, there's this special ruler. So there's the log cabin one, which is the very traditional, that's the one we had in the last show. This one I've got here is the Dresden plate ruler, which again, just like log cabin, one of the really traditional quilt designs that you often think about. So every ruler, which is quite handy, comes with instructions, so you can see how to use it. You can just have this next to you on the work surface. So let me show you the picture of what a log cabin block looks like. Log cabin. It's in my head from the last one. Dresden plate. So the Dresden plate either has pointed edges, so it's just basically a circle, either a 5 18-degree segments that make a 1/4 inch, so you have 20 segments in the whole thing. Now they either have these pointed edges or they have the curved edges. So the curved edges look more like a flower. And sometimes people make them, you make the whole circle, the whole Dresden plate, or you can make them as quarters or halves, you can put them with other things. But being able to cut these angles is quite tricky with a normal ruler. I mean, it is possible, and a lot of Dresden plate designs you'll see, they will include templates for you to pin to your fabric and put it on. But it does decrease the flexibility that you can do. But with this ruler, you can choose to have a finished block, and that's all of the segments between 8 inches and 20 inches, which is massive. So with this one little ruler pack, you can make anything from an 8-inch block up to a 20-inch block. It tells you how big you need to cut your strips. So if you are making an 18 block, you need 2-inch strips. If you're making a 20-inch block, you have 8-inch strips. And then it explains to you, let me show you in here, it explains to you step by step how you do it. So say, for example, if you look at this ruler, I want to do a 6-inch block. You place the 6 on the bottom line, and then you just cut either side of it. You've then got all the pieces you need to be able to join together. So that explains all of that section. And then we move over here. So when you make it, it will have these straight edges, but you also get a circle. Now the circle is for curving off the edges. You can cut this with a rotary cutter, but it's up to you whether I think if you're beginning to rotary cut, you think, well, I don't think I want to cut in a curve. So what you can do, you can either cut it in a curve, and if you are going to do that, I would use the smaller cutter. So we've got the 18 mil cutter here, and that's much easier because if you hold that still and you cut round it, you've got more control. It's much easier to get round. Whereas if I use you can use, this is the standard 45 mil, but it's harder to get. You can do it, it's just easier. That's what these little cutters are for that. It's just easier. But if you don't want to do that, you can just draw on your fabric, draw around it. So this is really good for cutting the tops of your Dresden plates into circles. But also with the Dresden plate, you often have a circle in the centre of it as well, and you can use this to draw this. For cutting out the circle to cut the centre. So you overlap that. So once you finish your Dresden plate, you can keep it on top of something else, and then you put the circle on. So this is fantastic. If you've ever wanted to do Dresden plate, or you've had a go and it is difficult with all the templates, you've got so much flexibility here because you can make a quilt, a block from 8 inches to 20 inches. That's a massive difference, isn't it? And all you need are these two pieces, but it's all been very, very carefully engineered so that you can work. You've got all the lines, all the seam allowance on there, and as always with Creative Grids, they've got the non-slip stops on the back so that it won't move. So that's Dresden plate. So we've also got some fabric here. Dresden plate is a very, very traditional block. I've got two bundles. This is the newest Tilda collection we've got, red and grey. Now, from the Tilda collection, these are the only flat quarters we have remaining, and I think with Dresden plate it works very well with these small prints because it doesn't matter whether you make a big one or a small one, they are the same size. So the smaller prints work a lot better. So in this bundle, you get five flat quarters. So you get this. Look at the prints; they're lovely, aren't they? And so these are the sort of the all-over prints. You've got one with a sort of an ivory background and pink flowers. You've got the red background and the pink flowers. This one is a slightly bigger print. It's got a grey background, but wouldn't that be lovely if you were doing the centre of your Dresden plate? You could place that, centre on top. Because they're clear, they're even better. So you think, well, I'll centre that flower on there. So you could use the other fabrics from the Dresden plate and then use something like this. And that's what's the good thing about this. Also, when you're cutting the Creative Grids with this ruler, you can choose where your print goes. I love this. I'll just show you that's the third one with another red small print. But look at this one. This one is gorgeous. I need to open it out so you can see the full glory. Look at that one. Isn't that a lovely print? So you've got a whole tree with a bear and a rabbit and squirrels and a fox. So if you were cutting your Dresden plates, because it's clear, you to place it. So if you're using a print such as this and you think, oh, I'd like quite a bear, you've got the 1/4 inch seam allowances down either side, so you could work out how it would fit. Well, it's not going to fit in that one, so I'll have a rabbit instead. Or if you wanted to put the circle on them, you'd know exactly where it is because they're clear. So it's brilliant. These creative grid are great for the fussy cutting side of it. So in this pack, you've got this lovely flat corner, you've got this lovely feature print, and then all the colours in there are echoed in these other ones. I love the Tilda. The Tilda fat quarter packs are always fantastic value, and you know the colours are beautiful as well. I like the fact they've put this grey print in it because there is grey in the flowers in this one, and it really blends together well. This is so traditional. Your real sort of red and white traditional, a little twist on it because they put a bit of grey in it and a tiny bit of blue. Nice, really, really nice fabric pack. So this is ideal for, if you wanted to make just one Dresden plate for the centre of a cushion. If you've never done it before, you've never tried one of these rulers, then it's worth using some nice fabric to do it. Oh, they all roll up. I was wondering why. I'm wondering if I struggled to roll fabrics. Why it was even worse than normal. I forgot. Yeah, so you've got to. They're all different. I don't know why I can't do it. It's like, I know. It's like a concertina. That's why. Just not very good at this. There we are. It's getting better. But this is a really nice thing to start off with, isn't it? Because the Dresden plate is just the really traditional, and if you want to do it, this is the easiest way. When I first made Dresden plates, that was before I even knew about anything with made them that I ever heard of anyway. And it is much harder because you can't do the fabric placement because you're using a paper template. You can't work out where you're putting it, and you know it's going to be accurate to do that. And also, I like the way they all come out. When you look at the ruler packs, it's a very little pack that it all comes with, but it's folded all up. So it even shows you here how to make the centre and where you place the circle and how to put it on. So it tells everything you need to know, all the instructions. So you get your almost instruction book as well as this, and it shows you about the cutting. So you don't need to know anything before. You don't have to buy a book to go with it. It's all in there. It's all in there. The Dresden package. So I think for £20.99, when you think of the time and the design and the engineering that has been worked out to create that. You can also do the half quilt using Dresden plates. So if you like Japanese fabric is so popular at the moment. Then the Dresden plate is perfect for that half fan design as well. Yes, like beach umbrellas. So which one shall we do next? This Tilda bundle, I've got another one here. It's called Sun Hat. What's great about it is this bundle is created for a sun hat, and it will have a special price on it. Really good price. So Hannah stole it. Off the web questions. Why? We're not going to make a sun hat. It is actually snowing outside. But this bundle was put together for a sun hat, and so there's a very special offer on it. So you get two beautiful Tilda fabrics, a lovely grey spot, and a plain grey. So you get four fat quarters for £8.99. So, and these are from these are beautiful 100% quality quilting fabric, and you get the two Tildas for £8.99. So again, you could use this for your Dresden plate because you can use the same colour next to each other, but it's nice to alternate them so it shows up later. So that's a really nice way, and because this was created, we managed to sort of steal it, because it's an absolute bargain. Because it would be more than that. And I love the colours of it. I love that. It's very, very pale. It's gone. I'll just put that to one side. What are we going going to talk about now? This one. No. So we've got these. And these are great because this is for oval. That's it. And there's that one. And then the oval one. The oval comes like that. That's just without the packaging. And we've got the circle one as well. Now this is great because if you've ever tried circles or squares, it's really difficult. Obviously, sometimes. Which are we doing first? Right, we're doing circles first. I'm getting confused. I've got circles and ovals. So this is the circle one. When you try to draw circles, maybe you're making the base of a bag, or you want to put a paint on, or you want to do some circular quilting because you want to quilting. It's quite nice when you're doing things like nice when you're palms and you want to join two together. It's really hard to draw a circle big enough, even if you've got a pair of compasses, because they normally will only go out to about that big, and it's then quite hard. The other way to do it is you put a pin in the centre of a piece of board with a string on the end to draw the circle. That's really hard as well. So this is perfect because this has got. You can see if I put my. I'll run the blade of the rotary blade of it so you can see. You can run the blade of the rotary cutter all the way through, and it will cut. So just like the same, it's like the stripology, but it will cut all the way through. So it's got all the different angles. You can see holes. It's not solid. It's got all the different angles of the circle. So you can use it if you want to cut a semicircle. You can fold your fabric in half. Place it on. It says where the fold line, and it says where the seam allowance is. So depending on how you want to cut it, if you cut it in half, if you want to make half a square, you line up the fold line, and then you seam allowance there, and you've got a half circle. If you want to do a whole one, you fold the fabric in half. So it's got everything you need. So it's got all the different angles. So again, if you want to create something like wedges or even custom plates with it, it's got the different angles that you need to use it. Or if you want to do, you can make those amazing quilts made of lots of strips. I mean, it's got the 30-degree angle and the 22.5 inch. So you can get those 22-degree angle. So you can get, if you want to create a full circle, maybe you make a full circle right around the tabletop, and you want to do all the different wedges for it. It's really good for Christmas tree skirts. I've seen some beautiful designs where you join together like wedges, and then you join them all together, and that's all together. But it's really simple. Now it does come an instruction booklet, which you can't take out of this. Not allowed to take that one out. But it's the instruction booklet in here. It explains in the same way as the dress and plate I just showed you. It explains exactly how to do it, where to fold the fabric, where to fold the seam allowance, because it depends on whether you're folding it in 4-in-2, whether you line it up on the fold line, or whether you line it up on the seam allowance. Really important to explain that. But if you want to cut exact circles, any more accurate way of doing that. And you can use it for lots of things. Even if it's just like the base of a round this is the perfect way to cut. Or maybe something like a table centre, quilting table centre, so you can fabric first, but then use this to cut it afterwards, cut it perfect circle, or quarters or half, which you just be able to get, because it's got the seam allowances marked on it, and you can mark through. Now I know that when you shop with us, as I do too, always going to have a little around to see whether or not so the main place we look is this one here. We know this one. And we always look. Well, why not? Why not have a look to see whether you're getting value? So this one is selling for £41. Exactly the same as the one we're selling. Ours is £37.99. So you're saving money already. And that's where we start off. Because we always do it. We're not always. We don't have like a price. We don't always going to be cheaper than everyone else. But we do look around. We do look around that we're competitive because we don't want to, we don't want to cost more than everyone else. Because we're all internet shops. We're all internet shops. We all look around and see what sort of price we're getting and the value and the sometimes, you might buy something because you can buy four things there and then you can buy the page even if one of them is more expensive. So we all do that. We all do that. We don't just buy from one. But remember with us, it is only one all day. So if you bought something already, like you bought the early bird, that was a £3 saving. So actually your postage only comes to 95p. But once you've bought you've got to check out. You've got to check out that thing, which I hadn't gathered when I first started. But you have to think of it like if you want to in your basket, then people can steal it. It's not actually stealing. You know what I mean. You know what I mean when you've got basket and if you put that down while you went off to get some milk and the change cake was missing, you'd already put in there. You would feel like they've stolen it, even though it works the same with us. It works the same with us, not with yours. If somebody else wants somebody else, they can take it out of your basket. So you can check out more than 20 times or more in the day, and you will still only get charged for 1p up to a bit. Hope that explains it. Right, so now we'll do the same thing, but with ovals. This is great, isn't it? Because you sort of think, are ovals, what is more useful? Or circles, There's a lot of times, bags, ovals with bags, table mats. Table mats are nearly always round. There's loads of different types. You want that kind of angle. On the back, inside, or it shows you how to do it. This works in the same way as the circle one that you can cut whole oval, quarter oval, or half ovals. But if you want to make different shapes, doing maybe you want to cut Easter eggs, because an oval, shape, an ovoid. And it's nice, isn't it? Because one of these things is very awkward, very to cut and to work out. And I know that if I would never go an oval because I haven't got one of these. I would do a circle because I've got my draw up, but it's just a really beautiful shape, and it's one of those shapes. It's one of those long time at the end. Again, look, you can see that there are holes cut in this, and it's got all the measurements, all the different marks, so whether you want the 30 degree or a 60 degree or a 60 degree angle, make them from any size range from 3 up to 8, so it's really multiple purpose. You've got all the grids on here to make grids on here to make it easy. It's one of those things that if you want to do ovals, I remember in the same way with reverse, do it with reverse. So you overlap the brick and add the brick allowance, and then you overlap the main, then you can sew it back together. And you have a stunning, very modern sort of quilt. But if you want ovals, is really the only way to do it. Okay. Because also remember, we talked about before with the log cabin, is that if you haven't used other cutters, they have grip on them. But they don't have as much. They don't what they normally have. What they normally have is the numbers that have got a slight grip on the back. Creative grid. They have the grip. So on the back of this, it's just slightly text on how they do that. It doesn't add fabric. It's just fabric. It's not as hard as damage. So on these, the grip doesn't need to be round. Where they put the grip where it's needed with this strip around every curve, so that when you place this on your towel, it isn't going to move. And that's actually crucial. It's really cutting the circle. Really important. Oh yes, we just had a message from Trish, had a message from don't think there's many bars you'd be making. Can we go through the diamond? Star quilt. She won't let me do this just yet. In a moment, after I've shown, because I like this book. Now, look at this, these ones, and normally you would use a 45 mil. This is the mummy one. Let me just close that. It was a bit dangerous. I locked it open. That's the normal one. That's the normal one. 45 mil. Which is 18 mil. There are two things that you would use this for. If you're like rotary cutting out patterns, when you're cutting around armholes or cutting out things, having a small rotary makes it a lot easier. Some people when they're dressmaking, they lay their dressmaking fabric on top, and then they pattern on top, and then hold it in place, and then to avoid lifting the fabric, if you're using it something a bit like jersey or a bit like fine model, like you don't want to be pulling it up, you don't want to be playing it up off. So by keeping it flat, use road fabric. The 45 mil one is perfect for most cutting. But obviously the succumb is much bigger. Whereas the 18 mil ones are much easier to get around. You've got to get around circle, like the Dresden plate, you can. It's much easier. Follow the curve round. If you're using one of the square ones, and you want to cut out particularly a small one, then it's easier. It's easier to follow it round because it's just as tight. It's a bit like using a fine line or a thick marker pen. I think marker pens are brilliant things for labeling things. Where you need them, not very good for labeling. So that's the difference. But if you want to do rotary cutting, there's also a bigger size. 60 mil is the biggest one. I have one of each. 60 mil is great cutting. Lots of layers, and your cutting falls obviously the fabric. You've got the longer cutting circumference to come over a longer cutting line. But smaller things, most people will use the 45 mil curves or tight curves, not small. Or when you're cutting out, and you just want to cut out a piece of fabric from a piece of fabric. You can cut more rapidly. So it's always a really useful thing to have. And when you've got it, you will end up using it quite a lot. I've worked the same way as normal ones, slides in and out, then the blade comes undone way, as you would the same way do a normal rotary cutter. Right. So Hannah's been on Pinterest. And she was trying to get a better idea than a soap. And so she found us some pictures. These are obviously I had looking on Pinterest just to give you some ideas of what you can do with oval quilts. And there are loads and loads out there, things you can do. Aren't they beautiful? So how would you be able to create oval? Well, you could have a template. By having this or the oval cut. So they've done a normal log cabin, but then cut that into an oval. So look at all the different things that you can see. If you've got those circles, it means that you can have squares or rectangles. You do other things, cut them into other things. It really opens up. It's a bit like when you get editing. Imagine if you did and bought an iron, and then you bought an iron. Wow. Such a difference. Made such a difference. And obviously, not everybody needs all the different tools. But when you see one of the things, certainly one in particular that I love because it is really good. So I'm not much drawing a curve because my hair compasses isn't big enough. The round up this one's a really good one. It says on you're making a bag, or a cushion, it says round drawing random mug. And you think, how big does the mug need? And where do I move it back or forward? see they've got round tables. I see they've got round tables and so on and so on. You think, why don't you just cut it in a circle, or just cut the corner off? So if you're making very simple tablecloth from oilcloth, if you cut the corners, it looks so much better. It looks so much better. You can line this because you can line up around that. You just cut round that. Slightly bigger curves, if you want that. This curve is better. That curve is better back. But if you're making bags, but if you want just to line up the curve, just line side, straight to the side, straight to a really nice curve. Anything like that you will look better. But it also makes these little drunkard's path or orange blue. We've got a quilt here, as if by magic. That has been made using this. Very effective, really clever. How did they get those shapes? How they got those shapes. You see? Now you've got two different sizes. This is a 4-inch radius. That one. Well, that one. 4 inch to an 8 inch diameter. From that you can create a circle. You can either cut the shapes like this. You can place this on the edge square and turn it square and turn it round 4 times. And you can cut a whole circle. You've got the big one. This got a 5-inch radius. This has got a 5-inch radius. So you can use it for rounding up the edge. You can use it for half or quarter. You can use it for the dressing plate, and you can use it for this orange peel plate, which has been used for that. For $24.99, tool actually does quite a lot. And if you wanted to cut what you place the edges on here, and then you cut round there. Then you turn it round. Place that. You just see how the lines down your square. You can hold round there, and then you have a whole circle. But it's just nice. It's just a quarter or a semicircle, and it will do the whole thing. And it shows you on here. It shows you how to remember. It shows you how to do it. And if you want to cut the drunkard's path, because you know how you haven't seen that before. It's a square that is formed two curved segments. That's one part of the segment, as you can see there. And then this is the other. Which is a really useful tool. You can do lots and lots of different things with. Be really good for. Yeah, you can make little fish. Great idea. You can make lots of sardines with a triangle on the end. You can make loads of sardines. You can make lots of fish. Can I do my book now, Hannah? Yes. After I've done the bite. So the bias binding maker is really good if you want to make binding, because bias binding, you can buy it pre-made. I always find it a little bit stiff. Now I know you think, all I've got to do to find and curved edge or something is just cut 1-inch strips and then just throw them around the edge. And then just so you know that you won't go around the edge, because the way that the fabric is woven with the warp, you've got horizontal and you've got vertical. But if you cut diagonally across there, then there's the fabric. So on the horizontal stretch, there's not a lot of stretch. I'm going to show you. Actually, I've got a piece of folding down here. Rather than that, which I'm carefully folded up. So let me show you. So you've got this way. The fabric will stretch a little bit less. But if you want to something go around the corner, you need to cut diagonally. If you're binding a straight quilt, anything with a curve, and even the slightest curve, you need to cut diagonally 45 degrees in there. Because if I hold that, look how much more than the other way. What you have to do, don't just cut straight. Because it will not curve the same. It won't lie flat, and it won't lie flat. Say you wanted to do something as simple as binding the edge of an oilcloth table. You cut the edges into a curve. It won't lie flat if you don't cut it on the bias. The simplest way to do that before you use bias binding maker is take your big square piece of fabric in half, and if you fold it in half, then match the vertical with the horizontal, and then just press this. And just press a finger press, and then just keep cutting strips on the sides. Now this is on the sides. Now this is 2.5 inch by binding makeup. So you need to cut it strips to that width, 25 mil. But the way it works is you don't. I mean that this is. I mean that this is for creating the way that binding. The way that this is working is it's turning a strip of fabric into a folded over strip. So you don't have to use if you only want to do straight binding, it will still work in the same way. So if we take, I need a ruler. Luckily, I have such things behind me. It's quite handy, right. Nice creative grid ruler. So first of all, I'm not going to cut through the book. Turn my mat round. I'll get in there. First thing you need to do is straighten it up. Even if you buy fabric that's just been cut, something happens to fabric, and you just breathe on it, and it loses its straightness. So cut it first. A nice sharp blade. So this is 2.5. So cut our strips. 2.5 with the ruler. No, it's not 2.5. That's metric, isn't it? 25 mils, which is 1. So I need to cut it 2 inches. Sorry. So the 25 mil, what size is this one is 1 inch. So now I've cut my fabric. You have to cut it double that. Get the ironing finger. Where's the ironing mat gone? Has disappeared. The ironing mat has disappeared. That's strange, isn't it? It normally lives down here or hung up somewhere. Hannah's just going to find it for me. It's moved to the front. As if by magic. The iron's disappeared. Oh, there it is. The iron has not disappeared. Need to plug it in there. Right. Okay. You can use. Obviously, you saw me cut this on the straight. So there's no straight. You can use this for straight strip. But if you are binding anything that even the slightest curve, please diagonally across the bias. Now you don't need to waste that fabric when you do that. You can cut diagonally across, and then you can just keep cutting below and above it. So you're not wasting the fabric by doing that. By cutting on the diagonal, you will get the straight. I've cut mine on the straight, so you can see how it works. Magic. Now this is magic. So what you do is you fold it and you push it in from the big end down to the little end. And the best way to do this is because a little bit fiddly. I usually just fold it into a point and push it in, and then you just pull it through. There's a little groove at the front, luckily. Sort of grab hold of it, push it. Once you've got it into there, then you can because you've got to thread it all the way through. It is a bit fiddly to get started, actually, to be honest. Doesn't really want to do that, does it? But once you've got it through, that is fine. It doesn't want to go through. That little groove in the front means that you can pull it through. I'm just going to. I don't know why it doesn't want to go through. It just doesn't today. Yeah, I know. This is what I prepared earlier. I guess what I could do is cut it. Now, I'll have it, won't it? That'll go through. But there it is. So you can pull it through with a pin like that. Now it's through. I'll have to just twiddle it around to get it to lie straight. But you can keep pulling it backwards and forwards to get it. When you've got it in, it's just that first bit again to go through, and it not twiddling around. Then it will turn it into bias binding for you. But remember, this one is straight. Oh, I should have prepared this earlier. Then it would be going right. But instead, it was all folded back. Anyway, that's how this works. Is you pull it through, and it will fold it for you. So you know when you buy pre-made bias binding. Going all wrong. It's folded in half and half again, so that the edges are folded in. This is what this bias binding does for you. If you folded it right, no, it's not going to work for me today. It's not the day. It's not going through right. It's just Monday. Anyway, you pull it all the way through, and then you press it, and it will turn itself in on itself, and it's just amazing. So remember, 25mm is 1 inch, and that will create 1 inch single fold. So when it comes out the other end like this, it will be 1 inch wide. Most of the time when you use bias binding tape, you will fold it round something, so the finish will be half an inch wide. So that's actually come out right now. So you just pull it through, and you press it as it comes through. So finally, there we go. So as you press it, and that means you can then fold that round. We also do. Have we got any of those there? We also do the bias binding maker in a bit. Size below that, we do the 12mm, which is the half-inch bias binding maker. Remember to cut your fabric into a point before you put it through, because otherwise it's a lot easier to do that. Yes, my little iron. I love this little iron. So if you're having to do thing about this is that it's a travel iron, but you know how most travel irons are absolutely rubbish. They are. This is a steam iron style. Most travel irons aren't steam irons. You go on holiday, you take your iron with you, and it's not very good, or you've got one in the hotel. This is as good as a full-size steam iron. It's even got the sort of the shot of steam. It's got a little thing that filling it up there. It even comes with the little jug. You can have steam on or steam off. You can change the temperature. It has a really nice ceramic sole plate, which is non-stick. So perfect for using as a normal iron if you want to travel with it. But it's also really good for quilting. So if you've got your sewing machine and you really, you've watched Sallieann last time, it's really important when you're sewing machine, sew and press. So if you wanted to press something in half, you get a really nice normal finish. Now with a normal iron, that's as good as a full-size iron. With a normal travel iron, you wouldn't get that. Particularly if you're doing something like an EPP where you need to be sewing pressing. I've discovered more recently, I don't know why, we've been sewing for years, that every time now that I sew a seam, I press it. Before I press it open all to one side, I press the seam. Or even if I'm not going to do any sewing pressing, even open on one side, I always press it. I always set the seam. It makes a massive difference to the quality of your finished make. So if you've got a little iron and a little ironing mat next to your sewing machine, or if you can't be bothered to get out the whole ironing board and the whole big iron, it's great to have this little thing. It makes a big difference to the quality of the finished thing. I know a lot of the times you think, oh, I can't be bothered, I'll just finger press that. I hear people say, I never bothered with pressing, but honestly, it does make a difference. When you sew a piece of fabric, you disturb it and you upset it. You're pushing thread into fabric that isn't supposed to be there. But if you press it afterwards, it sets it. It makes the seam relax and the stitches in your sewing relax, and you will get a better finish. And by having a little iron, then you are more likely to do that. And it's just a lovely little thing as well. That's a little iron. Put that on the corner. I'll put that on the corner. Nice. I'm allowed to talk about the book now. My book was my favourite thing. The diamond style. I really like this, and this is really useful. We've been talking today about lots of different creative grids that you can get. But if you want to do something that gives you ideas of using all of these different angles, this is a great book. You don't need, and this isn't one of the creative grids but it's just an idea of what you can do with all these different diamonds. And we do have lots of creative grids that you can use for cutting out these diamond strips. Now in the book it shows you how to cut them out just using a normal rotary cutter, like with the one that I was just using here, just a normal full length rotary cutter, and it shows you how to cut the angles. But we do have creative grids that have those angles on them. So on this in the book here, you can see it's showing how to lay a strip of fabric flat and then use the angle that's marked on your creative grid on your ruler. But it's a lot easier if this is cut already. So you haven't got to try and angle your ruler. So in this book, it's saying, right, if you want to cut 45-degree angle, okay, so you place to there, and you follow the 45, which you can do, obviously that's the glory of these rotary and these rulers, is that they've got all the angles printed on them. However, it's a lot easier if you want to get angles if you use the 45-degree diamond and Lone Star bias ruler. Again, you can also use this for cutting the strips on the bias. So you know when I showed you about folding your fabric in half and then making a crease, it's easier if you're cutting it with this, but you also use this for creating any of the larger diamond quilts, particularly the Lone Star quilt. All the instructions are in here to do that. So if you're going to make diamond quilts, the diamond ruler is really good. So the book goes through, shows you how to make the diamonds, how to cut them, how to do the different things, how to match centres, all of that. And then it goes into the projects. And these look really, really complicated. But once you look through the book, that's why I like this book, is it explains it really simply, and it isn't actually as complicated as you think, because it really breaks it down. And then look at that, I mean, that's beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely stunning quilt. That goes all through, and then it goes all through to the end of assembling it and finishing. Look at that one. Quilts made from strip sets. The Echo Star, I love that one. Just think of all the different, and what's great about this is it's using strips of fabric. So if you've got a design roll or a jelly roll, you're not sure what to do with it, you can put all of the strips together, because these are all 2.5 inch strips, which is your design roll, to make a beautiful star. That's lovely. That's like one of those really modern. Now, when you look at things like this, you might automatically go, all right, I don't like it. Just, you have to think about it. You have to think, this is the design, this is the pattern. You can use whatever colours you want. Or, if you like the colourway but you like a different pattern, always remember in books about, I remember that quilt, I really like the colour choices there. It's a really good way of copying and creating other things, because it's often the colours and the colour and the pattern that somebody has chosen aren't always what you want. And that's a really good thing, just looking at this, that these circular rulers are really good for, is marking quilting lines. And I know it doesn't say that on them, but that's what I've used my circle one for. So maybe the oval one, when you see all on here, they've got lines for quilting in circles. If you place this on your fabric, you can get maybe an erasable pen, like a friction pen. You can draw through the circle, and then you've got quilting lines, and then you can just quilt. So how on earth would you do that otherwise? And that's where the oval is really good. If you wanted big ovals or concentric circles or interlocking circles and ovals. So once you've done that, you can use it. That's lovely. I love that one. Twirling and swirling. Cactus star, that's really stunning. I mean, if you've ever wanted to make these diamond quilts, this really is the book. Because it does it. I like the way it breaks it down into all the, cut these strips, join them together. Christmas cactus. Blue cactus, that's the one that's on the front. I'm having to do this quickly because we're running out of time now. But there's so much in it. I mean, $19.99. You get a lot in this book. And there's lots of different sorts of angles as well. There's lots of different sorts of diamonds. So it almost like it builds up to the end. Quilts made with additional applique embellishment. That's really lovely, isn't it? I like that. They put a zigzag border on it. And some metallic fabric on the points of the stars. Quite nice. And metallic fabric in there as well. It's lovely. Anyway, wedding star. That's the last one. Right, Right, I'm going to talk about tomorrow on Sewing Street, and then we're moving on to Yarn Lane. So we'll just finish off with Sewing Street now. So 8 o'clock we've got fabulous fabrics. We've got more fabrics for you to choose from your delight and delectation. 9 o'clock, Helen Newton's Doris tote bag is going to be demonstrated by Rebecca Harrison. That'll be nice because Helen Newton's designs are gorgeous and Rebecca Harrison is a fantastic sewer. 10 o'clock, books, patterns and tools. Got all sorts of different things for you there. There's various kits for quilts, moda, all different sorts of things. 11 o'clock we've got take 2 fat quarters, Rebecca's back again to show you some different things that you can do with 2 fat quarters. And at 12 o'clock we've got sewing machines. Right, what time is that, Hannah? So at 12 o'clock also, if any of you missed out on the Amber Makes needle cases, we have got at 12 o'clock a limited number. I've had so many people asking, when are they coming back? When are they coming back? Well, I have asked, and we have got some, and they'll be available pre-order 8 a.m. So there's the 2 needle cases, there's the sewing machine needle and the hand sewing together, and there's the vintage sewing and the busy bee. And there will be some available. They were on sale at 12, but they're on pre-order 8 because I've been trying to persuade them to print some more, and finally we've got there. So we have got some more kits available if you missed out on them last time. Anyway, next is Yarn Lane, and I am excited for this one. If you want to watch Yarn Lane, if you're on the TV, just stay where you are. Do not move because you're going to love this. If you're watching on Facebook or on the website, you need to move over to yarnlane.com or the Facebook on Yarn Lane, and that's where we'll be. Everything that we are selling now is already on pre-order. This is the launch of Christine when it comes brand new sock yarn and pattern book that is on sale for the first time ever today, and West Yorkshire Spinners have allowed us to sell it on air today. You are going to love this. There are 4 different patterns, 4 different seasons. The yarn is beautiful, and I've got a special bundle for you so you can knit yourself a year of socks. So I will see you back here in just a couple of minutes, and if you've always wanted to knit a pair of socks and have been scared, Christine is the queen and will show you how. So I'll see you back here in a couple of minutes.